music now. Do 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 do. All right, we're live. And I'm going to go tell the other outsider chat too. Now I'm going to tell them we're talking about making video games. After I did the big, long philosophy things and outsider strategies with Tiger J, peeps, I'm going to go ahead and talk about all the other stuff, and we're going to make a game. We're going to finish our Rococo Jam game. And now I've learned more about Rococo furniture, so we're going to get that set up and ready to do. Let's go and let's go open up a recent one of these so we can do some sound effects along with our stuff. Whoa, that was loud. What is that noise? That bling noise. What does that mean? There's a thing beeping in the house and I don't know. Oh, I see what it is. It's a messenger. I received a message from a friend of mine that said, "I'm glad you came out." So on that very same stage, let me see here. Where's all my other stuff at too? This is me. I need to go back to my channel. I was looking at Basics channel. I also have to tell people that we're live. Probably should do that. My creator dashboard. Huh? Good deal. Good deal. Let people shuffle in to Game Dev Hangout land. Wow, that monitor went really far away. I'm gonna host on Tiger J's channel really quick. Cool.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh. Alright, close this. Good deal. Years. We are good to go. Good to go. And then, did I tell the outsider peeps? We'll do that here. Come join the stream. Join? Come join. Hello there, Iris. Android Conceptions. You mean Tiger J doesn't auto-host outsider media? No, I don't do auto-hosting on any, because I don't always, well, sometimes I don't want it to host. It's weird. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. There's just different, like, things, like, they just do different weird things like that. Secure says, Happy New Year, everyone. I like to have control over it and not just know that it's always happening, because I don't know, sometimes I might forget that it's there. And then I might, like, do a really edgy or something that's not appropriate. And that's the big thing. The Tiger J, like, stream channel is supposed to be more family-oriented most of the time. And, like, more, like, it's okay to put on and have your kids in the room. That was my goal when I made it. Because a lot of stuff on Twitch isn't okay to put on when you have your kids in the room. And so I was trying to be different and be, like, somebody that would, like, be there and that you could, like, put on with your family. I was kind of hoping, like, kids would watch me and, like, learn. And, like, they would just kind of pick stuff up as they went along. You know what I'm saying? And then they would tell their friends. And I was going to try to, like, grow through, like, that. I felt like if I was really family friendly, like parents would like not care if like their kids are watching some dude do game jam games. And then I might be able to teach kids and then get more kids into doing game jams. That was that at its heart, the whole reason that Tiger J wasn't like a mature like, yo, I'm Tiger J, I'm gonna get here and be all effing jipping dop doop, you know? And so when I started outside of media, I wanted to have some of that. I wanted to have a little bit of that punch, that little like stuff that gets people's attention. So I realized is like being the nice guy who's kind of boring and just doing like game jam and game dev stuff, you don't get a lot of traction with like the crowd that's watching all those personalities, right? But if I can bring people in here and get outside people in and have them doing some of that shows that, you know, maybe shouldn't be on the Tiger J channel, you know what I mean? That are probably on at like 11 o'clock at night or whatnot. I can build up some hype and some branding, some marketing that people will be like, oh man, that show is cool. And then they'll get a notification on their phone if they follow them and be like, Game Jam's Live is on, what's that? What are they doing at 11 o'clock? I don't know. I'm going to see what that's like. And then, now I'm bringing in people from outside the Game Jam community. If you go back to some old streams in 2018, you heard some other marketing ideas that I had like this. Like going out to Etsy and trying to find artists and giving away their art on the show as a way to introduce like artists into game jams. And like giving that prize away as like the game jam prize. There's some old streams back there where I talk about a lot of different like tactics to like try to bring people in. I got that idea from one of the game devs. It's at Tolio. Sorry, I didn't realize it was streaming Discord wide open. I'm really sorry about that. Hold on, let me find him. This is the wrong Discord, sir. I got him right here. Alto Verdiben. So I want to say it was a game with bears and some fish. It was for October Jam, maybe back then. There's one before that though too. There's a claymation game with sharks, and I think it was them also. It might have been somebody else, but they used stop frame animation, and there was sharks and stuff that were swimming around. It was probably Ludum Dare or something like that. Feels like Ludum Dare maybe. I can't remember. Anyway. It was stop animation. It looked like it was done with Fimo clay, and I remember like I like Fimo stuff. Fimo's a really fun thing to work with. It's like a clay, but it's a polymer, and you can mix it up, get it really hot, and you can make patterns out of it. But it doesn't like stick instantly to itself, so you can do really cool like little things with it. Some people like make middle of food, and they do like all sorts of like little characters. And there's somebody online that does Pokemon with Fimo clay also, and so there's all these artists doing creative stuff. And I was like, I could get that stuff in a game jam. That would be awesome. And then I bring more people. And so that's why the Tiger J's channel always do it. I know it's a really long conversation to have about that question, but that's why. Like, that's the actual reason why. And that's because it has, and there's like a lot there that has to do with marketing and stuff. There we go. Oh, these Pokemon Fimo clay. And then we're going to get right to work on this game thing. Like, no more like talking about these big picture concepts and all that kind of stuff. There will be a little bit of stuff to help people if it's their first game they've ever made before. But I'm going to try to go a little bit faster and get some stuff done. I have a lot of stuff to do tonight, too. And I took a little bit longer than I wanted to get on here, but I forgot to do laundry, and I actually had to clean some stuff because it's kind of gross out. And I really want to play World of Warcraft because I funded my subscription, and I haven't got a chance to use it yet. So I really want to get in and just do like 1 hour. Just want to walk around my old character and be like, yo, what's up? Just look at my mounts, you know what I mean? And I've got those mounts where like people fly down, they check you out, and you're like, yeah, that's right, it's my raptor, that's what's up, you know? And so I just want to do that a little bit. I want to flaunt some of my old swag from like when the game started, because I played with a launch, or like right near launch or whatnot. And that's pretty freaking awesome. And that'll just make my night. So I'm going to go pretty quick and like just try to do a little bit of game dev. We're going to get there. We might get a finished game. If not, no big deal. We'll pick it up tomorrow-ish maybe, if we don't have a stream schedule and have time to jump on. This might be like filler content too, so it might be following is the best way, because these are going to be kind of random streams. I don't think I'm going to have a schedule to come on and just start doing random jams like this, but if you watch notifications, I'll put it in the notification from jamming, and I might just start jumping on and jam more. Kind of part of the whole New Year's resolution thing, like just want to iterate. I didn't do a whole lot of game jams last year. I didn't do a whole lot of streaming last year. And I did make a course, and I did a lot of business. I did a lot of like self-improvement, you know? And I think it was Homer that said, know thyself, or somebody, Socrates, somebody. You got to fix yourself before you can help fix other people. And that's a really, really true statement. And you have to really know what you want and what you want to do. And that's what I'm doing. I just, I took some time off, and I really figured out what I want to do and what I'm doing now. Because I was at the end of my career track too. I don't know if you know that, but like there's nowhere else for me to go. Like I can't go up anymore. Like I'm at the very top of my career. And I'm not saying that to brag at all, but when you get to that position, then you have to start thinking like, well, what am I going to do next, right? Because if I can't get any more promotions, I can't move up anywhere, I can't do anything else, and I can't really earn more either. Like I'm stuck. I've reached the level cap, right? I got to the end game, okay? For like that track, for that thing that I chose to do with my life. And that's how I feel. Like I really feel that way, and like, yeah. So I mean, I love the place I work, and I don't want to leave there. So then what options do I have, right? I love my job, and I feel like I'm at the end game content. Like I feel like it's weird that I reactivated WoW, but that's where I was at. And I was like kind of lost, and I got kind of confused. Like it was scary. I didn't know what to do. And I took a psychology class in college called Psychology of Social Adjustments that really prepares you for life roles, and you like figure out. And like I'm trying to get my mom to move here so she has a social circle because she's 60 years old. And she's like, well, I don't retire for 7 more years. I'm like, yeah, but if you can get a job over here near me now, then you'll make friends because you'll go to work. And then when you go to work, you'll have friends that you can hang out with. And then you won't be at my house every night. Like, you can go out with your friends and do things and go out with them and do stuff with your people and, like, hang out with all your crowd and stuff. And so I'm trying to get enough capital up also so I can get my mom to move closer to me because she lives in Pennsylvania 9 hours away and nobody lives near her. My father, they're divorced. My father lives in Florida. My mom lives alone. Okay? My mom lives alone. And I really, she needs to be around people. And so, again, I'm in this challenge, okay? So here I am. I can't do anything else. I don't want to do anything else. That's the other problem. It's like, I love what I do. And so I don't know what to do. I'm like, right? And it took a lot of time. And so I talked to a lot of people and took meeting Alec and getting him in here and talking to him and really just reaching out and one-on-one and putting things in motion and doing another thing. And then all of a sudden the Pact thing hit and I started the publishing gig and then it hit the fan. Then I couldn't really stream anymore because I was just every single night recording and editing. Of course, it's 4 hours long. And there's a whole GitHub repo with it that you get a full solution that I created. And so there's a lot of work to build out that course and build everything. And I had to build all the apps that I had to train on too. So I kind of had to do my day job at night twice. So I was working 14 hours a day. But that's done now. It ships today. I'm pretty sure. I just got a thing on Skype for my editors. So that is awesome. I can't wait. And so that's done. And now I have all this extra free time and I have some money coming in. So now I just want to share it with everybody, and I want to just make everybody awesome. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's get back to game jams and stuff. And I'm not going to go on that anymore. And I need a jar, a prize jar or something where I can put quarters in. Because I keep going on these weird tangents from and the problem is I always think of myself, I'm watching the stream right now. And I'm trying to think, if I'm watching this, waiting for Tiger to make a game, just make the game already, dude. I want to learn about the Unity thing. Stop talking about all this other business stuff. And I can't. I want to, but I just keep going on about it. I gotta get a better habit of that. Alright, so here, we're right back where we left off. Now, okay, so we know a couple things about our story, alright? And the one thing that I've been thinking and noodling on about Rococo, alright? And we named the character. I'm going to name that character again. What is the name of this character? And I'm just going to go through and make a game and talk about everything I can about thinking in Unity at a lower level. But I'm not going to go through and do a lot of hard things and get stuck and challenged and things. Hopefully, that might happen. And if it does, that's just the reality of it. But I'll do the best that I can. Okay. I don't like the name Raj either. I don't know. It's Rococo. So I'm struggling with the name right now, though. And I kind of want to name before I go forward because I think that the name of the game is going to help me think about what my art style is going to be, what my play style is going to be, how my game mechanics are going to work. Because I like to get the story, so I go from this. This is how I work, and it's not the same for everybody. I just want to share my experience, though, so maybe it'll influence yours or something. All right? But I start with just the theme, and the theme of this is Rococo furniture, and then I look for something about that theme that I can come up with a mechanic on. So I was looking for mechanics, okay? What's interesting. And so first I need to learn more about Rococo art, and so I went to Wikipedia, and I learned about that. You saw me, I kind of scrolled up and down a little bit in the first part, and then I noticed that there was something interesting about it. And there's the point, okay? I looked through it. I just went around the theme and kept going around it in my mind, and I was just going to keep Googling, and if I didn't see anything interesting on Wikipedia, I would have went to another website. I would have went to Rococo art dealers, Rococo art historians, Rococo this, Rococo that, and I would have just started putting together a little docket or dossier, which is what we're going to do next on Trello, about the theme and about what our game's going to be about, and we're going to use Trello to kind of storyboard out different parts of the game, both features and story. This is, again, how I work. This is my process. I'm not making up any kind of rules. I'm not saying this is how you should do anything. I'm not saying this is the way to do it or this is the best strategy to do a game jam or anything like that or how the game's made. It's completely free form. I don't even have an agenda written down, okay? I'm just doing this improv off the cuff. I've got my notepad up here, and I'm just gonna go through it like I'm doing the jam because that's what I'm doing. And I don't even know when this jam ends either, so we might miss the deadline. But either way, I don't know, and I should probably know. so that we can speak to it. We have a day and 3 hours left. That is pretty awesome. All right, so we're like straight up jamming for a day and 3 hours. That'll actually work out kind of perfect because that'll end tomorrow. I go back to work tomorrow. But I think we could probably knock something out tonight. And then I have enough time probably to polish it before December 2nd at noon. And that's tomorrow until Friday at 11 midnight. So we got a lot of time. And Alec and I will be doing a stream on Friday night called War of the Ring. And Twitching goes tomorrow night. So after those streams are over, I can then jump on and continue on maybe, especially on Thursday night. Friday might be a little bit more challenging. Because I think I'm going to have a business meeting on Friday with another client. But Thursday, I'll probably be able to finish this up. If I don't finish it today, but we'll at least get some gameplay done. And you'll have the fundamentals to where if you're following along or you're trying to make your first game, if you download Unity, which is the free engine that I'm using, and Visual Studio, the Community Edition, then you'll be able to follow along the videos up until this spot until about what I'm going to do. And I'm going to teach you first really quickly like how to get stuck. Intentionally going to put a bug in my game, and then I'm going to find that bug, and I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to try to figure out what's wrong with it and why it's not working. And then after that happens, I'm going to show you how I Google specific things, okay? And some of the things that I've learned, some like tips and tricks to Google terms over the years, especially when dealing with Unity, okay? Because that's the engine that I'm talking to in the videos. Now there are other engines like Godot, which I think is a great engine. And then another thing, I've wanted to learn Godot for 3 years and I keep putting it off. And so if I'm going to keep doing all these jams, I'll probably be learning Godot soon. That might be the next one that I do. Or maybe I'll do a poll at the end of this and I'll let the community decide what engine I do next. Okay? And so then everybody gets to choose and I won't even know. So you guys pick and then I'll go from there. I'll take some time in between now and the next jam that I do. And these will be surprises. You won't know when they go live. I'll post them in Discord and I'll alert everybody. And what will happen is you guys will do a poll or I'll do a poll. If nobody responds, I'll do it on Twitter or something. Or I'll do it in Discord. I'll figure it out. But the community will decide, doesn't matter how, that I will use an engine to make a game in a game jam. And then I'll take some time to learn some basic stuff that I need, mainly like UI components and moving some shapes around, enough to where I have at least enough to like make a simple game. And then I'll go and attempt to do the jam that way. And then I'll polish it up with art and stuff and see where I go. And then maybe I'll try to learn the engine more with all the time that I have left in the jam available and try to turn in my best work. And throughout the year, we'll do these little jams, and maybe I'll become better at jamming at the end. And then we can judge it, and we can look at my portfolio at the end of this year and compare it to my portfolio to the beginning of this year. And then I can kind of see, just very subjectively, my own opinions, if this was a good experiment or not. And maybe that's how we'll run jamming for me this year. And that's how I'm going to do all my jams this year, is I'll let the community decide an engine, and then I'll pick the jam and figure out when I want to do it. And then I'll have time to figure it all out. So, and I'll do it all surprised with the equipment whenever Outsider's not streaming another show that we're producing. So, pretty cool. Fun times. All right, let's get going here with Rosokoko Jam. Rosokoko. So, if you're following, and you just joined, and you didn't see the earlier video, this is a game jam, which is a competition to make a game in less than 48 hours. And it's themed off of a specific type of furniture that was popular called Rococo, which I think Wikipedia only had one co in it. But anyway, let's go. And we already have our engine set up. And as I was talking earlier, the way programmers think and work and talk and stuff, this big white box here is where the UI goes. So when you're playing a game and stuff floats on the screen and it's not in the game, that's called the UI or the user interface. And sometimes I like to think of it as like a window into the game world. Okay? And I'm going to put text down there. So I'm just going to create. I'm going to go down to here to UI. I'm going to go text. You can ignore all this other stuff, and you can Google each one of these. And if you type it exactly like it is in double quotes, you'll probably find some information. And because you're using the engine Unity, I would check Unity's links first, or links that have Unity in the hyperlink name and where it's green on the Google search results. They look like they're official documentation from Unity. Because you always want to go to the source first, and then if you still are having issues, then you can deviate from that and start to look at other sites like Stack Overflow and stuff like that. And even that, there's some different things you might want to do when you come across an answer on Stack Overflow, just to be careful. I'm going to go through exactly like the way I search for information in my job day to day, and the way that I use the tools that we use when we're doing game jams in my professional career also. and how I hone in and do certain types of Googling, especially when I'm dealing with lots of changing technology that gets released regularly. And that's what happens with Unity, because so many people use it and they're trying to do lots of really cool things. They update it all the time. And because of that, the documentation updates all the time. So when you search for information on the engine that you're working in for your Game Jam game, you want to try to make sure you're looking at search results that are within a snapshot, at least a time period, in a cadence that's similar to the engine or the tool that you're using. And you can do that by using the advanced tools with Google and then looking at the search options and setting a date parameter. And so if you go to Unity, you can look at their release cycle and you can see how often they update the engine. And you can look at the major version changes. And those are when big things are going to change. And if you don't know about programming at all and you've never written any code, and we haven't done any coding yet here, I've just done a lot of talking so far, what you really need to know is that like when the major numbers change, those big numbers, that's when big things happen. Oh my gosh. Yo, Captain Black Pixel, thank you so much for the follow. That is awesome. I don't have a preview up, but hopefully the wave dealy went off. And please don't cheer or sub, please, because I'm going to remove affiliate. I actually don't want anybody to do any of that. So I have to email tech support in order to get out of the program. So please don't do that. And if anybody does, if you just kindly say, like, Tiger has, kindly asked us not to do that or whatever, just be, like, polite about it. Don't jump on them and be like, no, you don't do that here. That's one of the things that I don't like a lot, and it makes me actually nervous to go into other people's Discords and post when I'm doing Game Jam stuff, because I feel like every time I do it or I try to do something nice for somebody, I don't have time to, come here, I'm in, 50 Discord servers, because I'm a content creator. I'm not in this Discord to be a part of that community. I'm in everybody's community to try to be a part of everything that they do, right? And be a part of it and help them spread their messages. And, if it's something I agree with, I want to be a part of that. But the problem with that is I can't remember 70 Discord servers rules. I can't. There's no way I can humanly do that as a human being. I mean, maybe I could. My memory, like who I am, that's one thing that I fail at. I have a terrible memory when it comes to stuff like that and people's names. I forget names all the time. Sometimes I'll do like the old trick. So here's a trick. If you're out and you forget somebody's name, what you do is you have another friend and you go up and you say, hey, did I introduce you to my buddy Aaron? And then what happens is your friend's in. He knows the thing. He knows what's going on with you and that you have this problem. You clue him in. You're like, hey, dude, I have a really hard time with names. So every now and then I might introduce you to somebody and you just start that conversation off for me. And then they know. And they're like, oh, hey, man, what's up? And he's like, oh, hey, I'm Russ. And now it gives me a second chance to ask the guy's name without him knowing that I forgot it, because I'm worried, and I'm worried that he'll think that I'm forgetful. But it's really only a thing with people's names. I'm usually not that forgetful about important things, like where I'm going to be and that kind of stuff. But if I'm meeting somebody and I want them to believe I'm responsible, which I am, obviously, right? I do that so that way I still can appear responsible, and then I still can get their name. So just small things like that, but. And that's a really good trick to have, especially if you're networking a lot or you're at a convention, you're meeting hundreds of people, and you forgot somebody's name that you really wanted to remember. Maybe it's not like you just are hard with names. Maybe you're really good with names, but there's somebody you've forgotten. It's really important, and it's bothering you, and now you can't really enjoy the party because you're really trying to remember who that guy is over there. Well, now you have a little trick, all right? So grab another friend, be like, hey, I'm going to introduce you. Just help me get this guy's name because I can't remember it. And you're done, and then you can go on about your party. Or you get the guy's details, or you can get the thing and put it in your notebook so that you can call him up later and figure out that deal that you want to work on with him, or if he can help you, or you can help him. And that's a great trick to have. I came up with that trick because I used to go out when I was 20, and I'd meet girls and I'd forget their names because I forget people's names all the time. And that's a really bad thing to do, okay? So that's where that originated at. It was more about a thing about, I was dating and I would forget somebody's name. At a nightclub or a bar or something like that I was out with her at. And it wasn't like I'd meet her there. It wasn't like I took her out there, but it was like somebody I met at a nightclub or something like that. Or I was out shooting pool and I'd meet a girl and we start talking and I'd forget her name, right? And because I do. You introduce me once and it's like there's an air horn that goes off. And I think it's I'm just so interested in the person, what they're telling me and where they're from and all that kind of stuff, that the name's not important. Because your name's really not that important to me. It really isn't. I really care about you. You know what I mean? And so for that reason, I had to come up with a trick because clearly, I was who wants to, kiss a dude and hang out with a dude who can't remember your name, right? You don't want to come off as that. What was your name again? Maybe that would be a tactic that would work depending on I don't know. I mean, you gotta read people, but That's how it is, right? So that's a little trick, and I said I was going to do that thing where I talked the whole time, and now I just did that again, so whoops. All right, so here we go, window. We're going to stick stuff on this, okay? And we're going to do a thing where we're trying to tell two different pieces of artwork, all right? I came up with that mechanic because I found that interesting. And so really just look, so let's like, look, we can add a couple more things in here. So let's look for this art and find something that interests me. Bruce, what is it, Rococo. Furniture? Furniture. I think Lulu had a spreadsheet of jams for me to go through too. I thought it was gonna be like a marathon of jams, but now it's turning into like Tiger talks for 5-6 hours and then puts a button on the screen. I want to go to Rococo, Wikipedia. I said I don't want images. I want Wikipedia. I want to go back through. All right, so here's interesting. There's France, Italy, South Germany, Britain, Russia, and then there's a decline or something like that. So with the idea of the story that I came up with, I was flying my mouse around like a space station because I was playing Elite Dangerous lately, which is a game where you're in space and you're like a spaceship dude. And also because I was watching, I think, The Mandalorian from Disney the other day too, or something like that. And so like, and I like to fly things around my desk all the time. Like sometimes my phone flies over here and lands over here or something like that. I don't know. I just goof around. But because I act like I'm like a kid all the time. Anyway, like, so I had this space idea, and I like science fiction. So just because of my personal preferences and the fact that I love science fiction, I think it's interesting. I think if you add science fiction to a story or a narrative, it gives you a license, a creative license, to go out and just add in anything. It opens up more doors for me because I like it, and I can think of a lot of science fiction stuff. I have a lot of ideas about science fiction. It's just, there's so much. And that tech future thing is really awesome to me because I love these clicky-clacky keyboards and technology and all this stuff, and phones and video games and all that. So that's why my guy's a space traveler. And that's why he's getting furniture, right? And he's getting furniture with his UFO, but he's got to tell a difference between what two types of furniture he wants, right? Rococo or the fake stuff, the Baroque kind, right? And that was because it interested me. So as I scrolled through, like, this was it. It was like, oh, there's differences. Now that's interesting. If you're reading through it and you're like, now that's interesting, that's like a red flag, like potential game mechanic, right? Potential game mechanic. That's interesting. So it comes from different areas. That's interesting. Potential game mechanic. There can be different regions of furniture with different prices, right? Like maybe the aliens really like the French made stuff, or the Italian made stuff has a higher value. Or maybe you can goof around with it and tie in cultural references and generalizations, right? Maybe the French stuff has wine decor on it and has a stylized look to France. Even though the furniture might not even look that way, like, I don't know. No, it doesn't have like wine. I mean, maybe it does have wine all over it. But I mean, you could make it blue, and you can make this part like white, and you can make this like red or something. You use the French flag on here and color it up really nice or something like that. And then you can make each piece of furniture kind of stylized about what kind of country it came from, right? When you do your artwork, or your artist gets a hold of it, or your 3D modeler, or whatnot, right? So every time I look through, I just look through stuff that I think is kind of interesting, and then I try to figure out a mechanic that I want to do with it. And I do that by comparing mechanics that I've seen in other games really fast. It happens so quick, I don't notice it happens. I had to go back and ask myself why I thought the countries were interesting and why I immediately just wanted to diversify all the furniture into different country categories and make that a collection component of the game. I've probably done it in like 100 other video games, right? It's just imprinted on me from playing thousands and thousands of games. I played over 1,000 games last year. Most of them were jam games. But I like them because they're closer to the medium, and they're closer to this space where we think up here in our heads, and we create, and we're creative, and we're like kids, and we play with toys, and we fantasize. And it's your imagination. You can do anything. That's why I love Shadow Knights games. I don't love Shadow Knights games because of the 3D polygon special effects and 4K super ultra shader rendering and light bloom. I love Shadow Knights games because I've never played anything like them before in my life, right? And I never will. Because they came from him, right? The triple jump, the giant spike that I couldn't get through, and I tried. It took me like 2 hours, and I was gonna give up. And then he told me Josh did it. And then you tell me Josh does it, and I'm like, man, now I have to do it, right? So that's where it's at. I mean, like, for me, it's just so freaking awesome, right? And I'm going to give you everything I need to know because I want to create more game jammers in the world. Because I want to play more game jams. Because the more people we bring in, the better it's going to be. The sock game with Christmas, with the spikes, and it was a sock, and you had to jump over. You remember that game, man. Come on. You know all about it. And I think it was you that told me that you did it. Oh, yeah? Uh-huh. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's a Shadow Knight game. Don't tempt me to go play it right now. Oh my god. I'll just show you this because it was Christmas themed anyway. It is in the spirit of the season. I think it was an 8-Bits to Infinity game as well. I am pretty sure. Let's see what we got. Let's find. This is the hard part about finding Shadow. So Shadow Knight games are like really cool. All right. Number one, a lot of them use Fungus. They have he has a style. Okay, where a lot of people struggle to have a style. Okay. But a style's really, really amazing when you can pull one off. And that's a really powerful marketing tool, okay? Because it's I really can't wait to play another Shadow Knight game. I really can't. I'm genuinely excited. And I cannot wait. And someday I want to have a whole collection of them or do something really special with them. I've told Alec about this too. It's so cool. Because there's things that are just, you just know it is. I could use the Itch.io randomizer, which has 2 million games on it, and if it came up with a Shadow Knight game, I would know instantly. That's how you know if you have a style. That is the test. If you can put it in front of somebody else and they know it's you in front of thousands of other items, then you definitely have a style. And he has a strong style. I mean, a really, really strong style. You can just boom. Oh, I know this is a Shadow Knight game. You want to know why? The music's sung, right? You know? And you know what I mean? And then you fight the bosses, and a lot of times there's this is the future of 19. You know what I mean? It's just it's so cool. And then you got the Fungus thing that's usually always with Fungus, and there's lots of dialogue and narrative and stuff. So that is the cool part, right? That is what's awesome. That's what I like about jam games. And that's why game jamming is cool. That's why we're going to make a game jam game. All right. Because you can't search. This is the other thing. You can't search for Shadow Knight, right? This is the downside about Shadow Knight games, is they're almost impossible to find, okay? So here's a huge marketing problem, okay? And that's that Shadow Knight makes great games, and people know who he is. I can go to any member of my community and be like, blah, 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 Shadow Knight game. And they're like, wait, what? Which one? The one with the DVDs that bounce around? Or the Woe Face? Or the, you know what I mean? Or the kitchen fighting one? Or the one with the one that I'm trying to think of now, with the sock that's trying to get back to Christmas again, or whatnot, or the Land of Toys. Maybe those are two different Shadow Knight games. I can't even remember now. There's one with the spikes too, where you go up a tree. That's the one I'm talking about. With the spikes are really hard, but it could have been different phases in it either. Now I really want to find it. But we all know who he is. But when we search for him on here, we can't find him, right? So if I go to somebody and I'm like, dude, there's this game jammer I absolutely love, and I'm out at GDC. I'm like, yeah, his name's Shadow Knight. He's awesome. But now I can't remember it's Shadow Knight. I have to remember that it's DK5000P. And I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm trying my hardest for him, obviously. What I'm gonna do is pull up my phone, find it, and then get the person's information, and then send him Shadow Knight's information. Because I can't tell him to come in here and search for Shadow Knight, because you can't. Right? 1000P. And these are the games that I'm talking about. So there's 61 of them, okay? I absolutely love them so much. Where is the one with the sock? Oh, that one was good. I believe this is it. Mini Jam, extra credits, holiday. No, it was not. No, it was Mini Jam 17, Home Alone. This is the jam. Oh, yes. These spikes. Mr. Josh McClane. I can't hear anything. Hold on. Audio? Oh, there's sound. I can just barely hear it though. Can anybody else hear that? All right, here we go. Let's continue. Okay. This is, I think, before the fungus era. So, like, he has different periods in his game, too, just like an artist does. You know, like, there's a blue period, and this a period, and that period. Like, Picasso had a blue period. I think Shadow Knight has, like, a divide, like a pre-fungus period, and then there's a post-fungus period in his style, right, as an artist. Okay. The present's one goal was to make it under the tree before Christmas Day in order to be opened. However, life had other plans. Left and right arrows to move, and left and right arrows to jump. You can jump 3 times. I don't know if this is the first triple jump Shadow Knight game yet, but this is really awesome because this is another hallmark of Shadow Knight games. And it's so interesting that he just mentions it here, just in case you don't know, because everybody's got a double jump, but nobody else has a triple jump like Shadow Knight, right? The house does not like people breaking in. It sees the present as an intruder and is trying to protect the family. Press space to continue. Okay.
You'll be crushed beneath my teeth. You'll be crushed beneath my teeth.
I can't remember how to jump. Oh. Alright. Okay. So now you see. Now you, like... This is a very hard game, okay? And I beat this game. And it took me hours, I think. I think it took me, like, I don't know. I mean, there's a VOD of it somewhere. Oh, yeah, Josh says this is bringing back bad memories. Yes. Yes, it is. I think I only had to beat it because you did. You know? Like, I was like, it's so over it. And they're like, well, Josh did it. I'm like, Joshua McClain! How dare he? Oh, man. Yeah, but yeah, that's it. I'm not going to beat it right now. But that's it. I don't know. I went on a tangent, but these are Game Jam games. And if you're watching this on a VOD somewhere and you're like, I heard there's a video that'll teach me how to Game Jam. Well, that's what we're looking at right now. That's what this is. This is a Game Jam game. And I absolutely love this game. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played in my life. And it doesn't have to do with all the money that was put into the production of this. It doesn't. It has to do with the art. It has to do with the fact that he made it and it's unique. And I've never played a game with spikes that have invisible hitboxes that are twice their size and nearly impossible to jump, but it is possible. He's got this situation where you can actually do it because he play tested it. I think he might have gotten too close to his game, which is something we'll talk in like an advanced Game Jam video sometime. But what happened was, because I'll probably keep making Game Jam videos like this, and I'm actually like recording this for YouTube while I'm streaming it. That's kind of why some of these talks are a little bit longer, is because I'm making the material that I'm going to use to edit when I export it from Twitch in After Effects and Premiere Pro. I'm going to slice that up, and I'm going to cut out where I cussed earlier, obviously. I'm going to shorten this whole thing down and edit it in post-production. And maybe I say something the same way 4 different times, but one of those times I'm going to like it for that video series, and I'm going to use slides to break it up in between. These are skills that I learned last year when I had to author a video course for that publishing deal that I did. And now that I have these new skills, I want to try to do that to bring more people into the art of making video games, and specifically into the art of game jamming, because I believe this is what really drives innovation in the medium and in our field. Anyway, so Shadow Knight has this triple jump, and it's awesome, and I love it, right? And I want people to make more. So if you're wondering what jam games were, that's what these are, and you should definitely check out DK5000P. He has got a definitely specific style, and definitely is an artist when it comes to the medium, right? Especially the format. So the medium is game development, and the format is game jam. And the medium could be game development, and the format could be indie game development. The format is just like in fine art, right? Where the medium, is like the art, and then The format would be different kinds of art shows or curated shows or non-curated shows and all that kind of stuff. So we can take game jams and game creation and use it and treat it like the film, where you can have film festivals, right, with different formats of, stuff like that. That's where I see the future of game development going, because right now we're in like the 1940s of game development. If you look at the movie industry and what happened with that, okay? I mean, now we have technology and games aren't movies and things are different, everything like that. But if you look at it all, I really believe that game jams are like your independent filmmakers. They're the people going out shooting all like the really interesting stuff. They're not afraid to experiment because they don't have to take any risks. And as soon as you remove risk, then you're free and you're liberated and you can do whatever you want because you have no risk. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose to try to put a triple jump in. Where Mario's not going to put a triple jump in, or a double-sided invisible spike hitbox, or boss fight, but it's like almost impossible. You have to jump through a bunch of beams or something like that. I mean, there's a bunch of Shadow Knight games. Pick one of them. They're all going to give you an experience you will never have with another game, whether it's the story, the music, or something else. It's completely unique, and that's what's really, really, really cool. And now we're going to continue on with our game, all right, about this Rococo furniture. So what I do is I just look for things that interest me. Like, oh, that's interesting. And then I just make a mechanic out of it. And if you look at Shadow Knight's triple jump, well, probably inspired by a double jump. I don't think he woke up in the night and said, oh, Eureka, triple jump, that's how it's going to work. Nah, he probably was like, I don't know, a triple jump would be interesting here. Nobody does a triple jump. And so he put it in to make it unique, to make it his own, to put his mark on it, right? Something like that. And that's what you really want to try to do, is you want to put your mark on your games. Let's see. So like different stuffs. All right. So we have like these different places. They can be worth different things in different time periods. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. We can group them up by country. And then there's a decline and an end. I don't know if I really care about that a whole lot. But I think just grabbing it from the countries, right, and having different countries with different values might be pretty good. And I can make up my own currencies because I'm an alien, so I don't have to worry about that. Because I've used space. So now that I have space, I have this license where if I didn't use space and I didn't take creative license by adding it in and trying to creative and making my own and doing whatever I wanted and living up here like a 5-year-old playing with this Matchbox cars, like what I'm saying. If I didn't do that and I kept it really bound close to reality and I didn't, have fun with my imagination and bring space into it for creative license, if I didn't do that, then I have to use real currency. I have to use money, right? And now all of a sudden, I want to try to make things accurate, okay? And I want to try to make them realistic, which is there's nothing wrong with that because this is your world. This is your imagination. This is where you want to live. And somebody might really love that. That might be exactly what they want to do. They might want to make a simulator where it's like a furniture auction simulator where they're going to auction Rococo furniture. I've just thought of a different game jam game that I could make where I'm an auctioneer. And it's super realistic, and it's an actual simulator. But you got to speak into the mic, and you got to say it to a certain rhythm. And maybe I can use some sort of other like code to figure that out, or a tool or something. And I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, and you got to actually sell the furniture to the NPC. And I'm using the microphone to do it. And you might think, "Boy, that's insane. Nobody ever uses that." Well, guess what? If you're not from the game jam community or anything, you might think that's totally crazy. But I'll tell you, I played a game last year where I had to yell into the microphone in order to move. And I'd go left, left, fire, left, up, fire, left, right, fire, fire, left, right. And that's how I played the game. So you could totally do it. It is possible. And that game was made in a couple of days or a week or something. And my gut tells me, I almost want to say, I think that was also a Shadow Knight game. That DK5000P dude up there, whose name I said I wouldn't remember, which I do remember, I know his name. That is it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it's at. Okay, so here's my world, right? And I got my window, but now I have creative license, so I don't have to worry about that money stuff. That would make me really technical and dialed in, and I might get too consumed and focused with making it realistic. Now, the dollar, so the average value of that furniture back in 1600 was $1,800, and it was brown. I want to make sure I have brown and gold like that, and you don't have to be like that because it's imaginary. It's a game. You can do whatever you want. The furniture can have legs. It can have wings. It could be on fire. It could be full of gold. It could be full of a map. It could be a portal to another world. You can do anything you want to do with your game, and it all exists right here inside the game engine. And in this case, I'm using Unity, which is free, and I'm going to probably use Visual Studio, which is, there's a free version, it's Community Edition, but I could be in Godot, I could be in the Pico 8, I could be in any engine, I could be writing code for Sega Genesis. Google's there, I could find somebody, they do it, people still make cartridge games. There's a guy who still produces Nintendo cartridges for the NES, and he makes custom games, and he can take your jam, I don't know if you take your jam game, but he takes people's games that they edit in that, and he turns them into actual things. It's all possible inside of this medium, so that's what's really exciting about it. All right, here we go. We're going to go in, and we are going to go, and we have this empty object here. And I was talking earlier, and we're going to pick right back up where I left off to like imagine this is like a ball of clay. That's what an object is. And on the object, you can add in different like patterns and styles and stuff. All right, just like a vase or like a pottery, you throw in a bowl or a sculpture. You can like go and put parts on there and stuff like that. Okay, and at first we're going to talk about these things like this. Now, if you already make games, you know these are called components, and you can add them on and do stuff. I'm going to add on a sprite renderer right now. And that's a fancy word for a picture, or like a photo. Okay, so here's my sprite renderer. Okay, and nothing happened, right? But I mean, like nothing changed here inside the window. I don't see anything new anywhere where I go anywhere, right? But I did get a whole lot of stuff to show up here on the screen. Now this is actually on my like piece of imaginary clay, right? But now my piece of imaginary clay is different. Now it can hold an image from a computer, okay? And I'm going to stop calling it clay because that's kind of confusing and silly. Now we know like it's kind of defined a little bit, all right? We've put some definition into it. It's defined, just like you would do if you were sculpting. You would create definition, you would start to pull pieces of clay away and make what you wanted to make and build it out, right, and carve it up. And that's what we're doing with this game object. We're going to start to carve it up, make it what we want, so it does what we want it to do, okay? So I just added it right here. Now, inside, okay, behind the scenes of this world, we can open up anything, and we can look and take a snapshot and kind of see behind the scenes like we see in our universe with scientists, and we can look at like what makes it up, what actually creates the world that we're in. And in reality, those are the atoms and the molecules, or we can go smaller, we can zoom in, abstract closer, and we can look at those little quarks and particles and subatomic particles and into quaternions, right, and quasars and all of those things, and particle physics. All right, and we get down deep into that stuff, and like 1, 2 of those smash, and a quark goes up, and the other one goes down, right? And they like that, and you get to see all the patterns and stuff. That's what happens. And then there's the Higgs boson stuff happens, and then we have that field where there's zeros and ones everywhere, and then we can kind of fluctuate a Higgs boson field around. That's what we do. Like in our world, we go really, really far deep in the molecular level. And in game development, and we're doing a game jam game, and inside of our game engine, it doesn't matter which engine you're using, they're all like this. You can go in and you can look behind the scenes down at like the building blocks of what's going on with your imaginary objects that exist in that space, okay? And that's called a script, okay? And that script for this, I'm going to just call this, I really don't know what I'm going to use this for yet. I just kind of stuck it there because I wanted to give you an example of what a game object was. So I'm just going to call this a square for fun, and I'm going to capitalize the S at the front of it of my script, okay? And the reason I do that is because I've got experience, and I know that there's some standards, and I've also done it a few times, and I've built up some patterns that help me, but also my patterns tend to kind of match some patterns of my peers, because we've all done this together before. And that's why I put a capital S at the front of it. And you might, I don't know how old you are if you're watching this on YouTube or whatnot, I have no idea, okay? But you might be thinking, like, you might be in school, and you might have written a paper before in school, right? And if you're in school and you've written a paper in school and you've done a research paper, they probably had you use the MLS. And that's the styling guide for how you annotate different research stuff that you've done before, okay? So you go out and you write a paper, and you go and you find all your documents to support your argument, right? Because you're making an argument inside your paper for school. Maybe you're taking argument and persuasion, all right? A class where they're going to teach you how to argue and persuade people to do what you want, all right? And you're taking this argument and persuasion class, and in it, for example, you don't want a traffic light that they put at the end of the road of the college, okay? All right, so instead, you go out to the school and you call them up, right? And you say, hey, I need facts on this, da 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 da, right? And the school's like, what? And you're like, well, I just want to know how many like collisions were going on. And then you call up the police and you ask them what's going on. You're like, did you know that there's a light that they just put in on Tharp, like over there by Tallahassee Community College? And what's going on with that? How come nobody's asked? Like, what makes it okay to just put up a traffic light? And I'm only asking because I'm doing a paper for college, da 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 da. And you can go around, you can ask everybody, you get interviews, and there's a way to source that, and it's called MLS. And you can read science papers about rear-end collisions. And did you know that a traffic light actually increases rear-end collisions? They see those actually go up. They do more, they actually know when they put in a traffic light that there's going to be more harm, and people are going to get injured from more rear-end collisions. There's going to be an increase. So they only do it when they know that that's going to create a significant downcrease in a more fatal or more dangerous accident, because rear-end collisions tend to be very safe, okay? And even though they're going to increase them, there's going to be more property damage, and that's going to have an impact on the people around, especially with insurance. And the insurance in that area might go up a little bit if they put in a lot of red lights, because now all of a sudden there's going to be more rear-end collisions, and that's more damage to vehicles. But people aren't getting hurt. And so what they'll do is they'll look at an intersection and they'll say, okay, there's been, 14 T-bones there this year where we've had like 2 fatalities and maybe like 12 injuries. There's been 2 head-on collisions where there's been 2 fatalities. And there's been like maybe like 70 or 80 rear-end collisions, okay? And this is like a 4-way stop. And so what they'll do is they'll say, well, we can reduce the T-bones down to maybe like 1 a year, and we can reduce head-on collisions to 0%. So we can save 4 lives, but we can do about $19 million in damage to cars, because we're going to increase rear-end collisions by like, 280% or something like that. These numbers, I'm making them all up. The only way I can tell you this is reference material is because I actually did that in college when I was taking an argument persuasion class. I called up the police, I called up the college, I tried to figure out why they put a light in there, because it took me 2 hours to get out of school every day, and it was a huge inconvenience, so I wanted to know more about it. It was a great way to find more information and write the paper at the same time. Totally got an A, it was awesome. And I actually found out, like, I don't remember what my argument was, but if I can dig up the paper, I'll see if the college, like, if the teacher's still there. I doubt she has a copy of it. Maybe, I don't know. I'll find out. I have no idea. Or I could just call up the same people I talked to before and ask them again and do a whole new research paper on it. Doesn't really matter. It's stupid anyway. It's just an example, all right? But, like, that's the thing, is, like, you got to go in and... there's the MLS is what I'm trying to get at here. All right. So when you write at a college level and you do a bunch of research and you write a paper, there's an expectation from people at that level of education and that level of training, that level of skill, that they want to see a specific standard and a format. So that way they know what to expect and they don't have to sit there and try to figure out where your stuff's at or call you on the phone and be like, hey, where'd you get that article again? Because I don't know. I don't understand your handwriting here. Or was this the page number? Or was that the chapter number? Was that the volume of the magazine? How do you write your dates? What order is your date fields in? You'd have to call everybody up. If you're trying to actually follow up on a research paper and build more research on top of it, it would be very hard. And so probably, I assume for that reason, they probably made this thing up so that way everybody could figure it out. I don't know. Or maybe they just want to do it to make it really hard to get through college. I have no clue, but it exists either way, and it provides a really standard format that everybody can agree on, and now everybody can exchange that information easily with one another. The same thing applies to when you name your scripts, all right? So I used a capital S to name my script Square. When I hit return on this, that's going to create my script. It's going to put it in my assets folder. Now, I do not like this pattern of Unity. So for me personally, and throughout all these videos, I'm always going to create a new folder here just called scripts, because I don't like anything just hanging out as a raw file. I like everything to be in a folder with a name. And that way I can find it. And if I get lazy and I have one file out here, my behavior is just to start to chuck all the files in there. It's kind of like my desk. You can't see it right now, I think, on the video. But if I have a flat plane in my house that's horizontal and I put one item in it, it's like it's a magnet and it draws all the other junk in my house to that spot. And that's how it works. And so the same thing is like that in folders for me. If I leave an empty document in there, the next thing I know, I just start to shove everything in there. And so for that reason, I got to create a folder right away. And so in here is the assets area, and this is where your files are going to be at that you're going to use inside of this world that sits behind this window, okay? This world in your imagination and that you're building, and that we're building for the Coco Furniture Jam. All right, so we have this square here. I'm just going to right-click, go to Create, drop in a folder. And right in here, I'm going to call this folder Scripts, okay? And it's going to hold all my scripts, Okay, so every time I have a script, I'm going to put it right in here. And on my object, we have a script on it. Okay, and this is a lot like the water bottle having a label on it. Okay, so again, I talked earlier on that other video about levels of abstraction. And if we're zoomed in at this level, all right, so back here, it's a container. Up here, it's a water bottle. If we go in a little bit further, it's a water bottle with a label, okay? Well, your script is kind of like that label, okay? It has some information on it, tell you more about it and what's going on in it, all right? Also, the script, unlike the label, can describe anything about the object, okay? And it can tell me all sorts of stuff. Like, I could have the script tell me how much water is in the water bottle, if the object was a water bottle. And it can be, because this all exists in my imagination. So if I wanted to, I could actually rename this water bottle. Now, I don't do spaces here. I use a capital W and a capital B, like that. And again, this is from my style, like the MLS thing that I was talking about. And there's two kind of versions of that. There's like a public one where there's like a standard practice that all developers do, and usually it's language specific, and it's kind of dictated by the language. And it's a lot like foreign languages, like German, okay? I'm gonna go to German a lot because it's the only foreign language I kind of know. I took it twice. Well, I took it twice once. Well, I took 2 years of it twice, though, is what I'm trying to say. Mainly because of an issue. My high school had an error, and I ended up not getting my German credits when I moved from New York to Florida. During that, they had me take German over again when I got to college. High school was cool with it. They said, we don't really care because it's Florida, and they just sign off, whatever. Florida. And then I got to college, and like, you can't get a degree without a 2-year education, like foreign language. I'm like, well, I had it in middle school. Because in New York State, they teach you foreign languages when you're younger, not when you're older. And so in Florida, they taught you like late in high school. And in New York, they taught you early in middle school. And so I already had my foreign languages. But they weren't on my high school transcript, which means I didn't have my foreign languages. So I got to retake German in college, and I aced it. Obviously, I slept through the class. I used it as a nap. And I did my other classes' homework in it, because that way I didn't have to do my other classes' homework, and then I could go out and party at night. And I took my homework in a German class, and she knew the situation because she was cool, and I already just aced the tests, and I do all homework right there, just fill it out, hand it to her. And right when I come in the door, I just do it right away, hand it to her, and then I would just sit there and I'd do my trig homework, and I'd read my science stuff, and I'd work on some philosophy crap. And then when I was done with all that, then I could go out at night because I'd do all my homework in my German class, all right? Anyway, German has a rule, all right? There's actually a rule in the German language. English has rules too, but English is a lot sloppier. English is more like a different programming language than some other languages. And you'll find that, especially with programming languages. They're a lot like our languages. English is kind of loosey-goosey. You can kind of do what you want with it. It's a lot more like a looser-based language. It's not strongly typed and stuff, okay? And that might not mean a lot to you right now. You might not be there to know what strongly typed means. But what I'm saying is, like, languages are a lot similar and a lot different. German has a rule in it, though, that the second word has to be a verb in a normal sentence. I think if it's a question, it can be at the end. But when you're learning how to write German and you're learning German grammar, I'm fairly certain, at least I'm pretty sure that I was told that the second word, or that there's like kind of like a math sequence to it. It's structured. It's a strongly typed language almost. Like you have to put the verb in the second spot every single time. That's how it works. And your sentences end up sounding kind of weird. If you're coming from an English-speaking background where that's not a rule, you can kind of just, maybe it is, and I don't know it, or maybe I just don't talk right. But you can kind of do whatever you want in English. You don't have that. There's other differences, too, in languages, just like there is in real languages. Like in German, there's 3 different sexes of the word the. There's der, die, and das, okay? And, in English, we have the word the. It's just the, and the, all right? We don't sex or gender the word the. But the word the in German is a gendered term, right? I don't know why that is. And they do not have a rule to how do you associate that gender. There's a knack for it, like K-N-A-C-K. Like you start to speak a lot of German and you develop an ability to just kind of have a gut feeling of which one to use. And typically it's right. You learn, like, there's something inside of the language and the way that's a guttural language and the way that you talk with it, you start to pick these things up. Or you just do a lot of memorization. But for someone who cannot learn through memorization and can only learn Socratically, like me, like I can't learn that way. I fail that way. I have to learn and have rules, and I have to understand why something works, and I have to be involved with the process for me to be able to remember it. If I look at flashcards, I can't learn that way. Period. It doesn't work for my brain. I don't learn that way. And those are like the two ways in my life that I've always been looked at. And when I'm looking at my learning, I always try to figure out which one it is, and I try to stay very, very, very far away from the repetitive memorization style of learning. And that's, some people, that's the best way that they learn, you know? But you just gotta find out the best way that you learn, and then start to learn everything that you can learn. And then you'll just have lots of fun. That's my trick. All right, let's get back in here. So I actually named this water bottle, right? And we can pretend that this script is like the label on the water bottle, right? And it'll give us information. Now I want to rename this script water bottle too, so I'm going to go rename that really quick. Don't be scared to drive around in your files. This is the assets folder. I'm going to go in the scripts folder now. I'm just going to rename this back to assets. Okay, boom. All right, and here we go. There you go. Wait, I need assets. Wow, this is really fail. Water bottle. I want to name this water bottle. And again, capital B, right? A Malay. And I was saying, like, so some languages have general, like, things, like the second word in the German sentence is always the verb. Some languages have different ways where they standardize on how you name different parts of those scripts, like these script files where I used capital W and capital B for water bottle. Some languages you might not do that. So maybe you use a lowercase letter, maybe you type it differently. It could be different. And same thing when you get into the actual source of that code. And now we're going to look at the code behind our water bottle object. So imagine now in this world, right, I just dropped a water bottle in place right in the middle of the world, okay? I just stuck it right there, all right? And now I want to start putting some definition on it. What does it look like? What is the information? How much water is in the water bottle? Is it round? Is it square? There's square water bottles, right? Is it square? Is it round? How large is it? Has it ever been opened? Does it have a safety seal on it or not? All right, these things are all called properties, and sometimes they're called keys. So either keys and values or properties, all right, is what I like to say. I like to say properties a lot. But that's what they are, okay? And they exist usually on the script that's associated with your game object in the engine, and they help describe it. And it's pretty cool, and we're going to do that now. So inside of our water bottle script, if I click it, I can see a little preview in here. And that's kind of interesting. That shows me some of the code that's already there for me. If I want to open it, I can double click it. And to do that, that will actually open up what's called the IDE, okay? And that's your tool that you use to edit, and it's your development environment, okay? That's what it is. That's the IDE. It's your development environment. And that brings up, this is a special tool now that I was saying, like, imagine we're all super people and that we get to create worlds inside of this, like, program, and that's what Unity is. Think of Unity more like a game where you get to play with your imagination. It's not, don't think of it as a scary game engine tool with lots of things that you can click and break and, oh my gosh, I don't want to touch that. You can always make a new project. Do not be anxious about getting in here and just messing around. You can come in here and just drag everything all over the place. Up here in the window, there's a setting that you can go and you can reset the layout. You go to Window, come over here to Layouts, and you can revert to factory settings. You can revert the entire game engine back to, I think, the layout, but I think you can revert everything. In fact, or you could uninstall it. You could delete everything, all your file, your preferences, and you could reinstall the engine again. And if that doesn't work, you could jump in our Discord and you could be like, hey, I messed up my Unity engine. I don't know what I'm doing. And someone's going to help you because we all want to see you make your game because we all love to play each other's games, okay? So, like, it's totally cool. Don't worry about it. Just get in here and have fun and start to play. Every single second that you don't get in here and start playing around with Unity is another second in your life you missed out on being able to create a game and have a great time. All right, so we got our water bottle here, and we got our script. And we're going to go down in here, and this is our script file. Now, this looks like a lot of stuff's going on. And the first time you see this, you might be like, lots of noise, okay? There's really just three things that I'm going to start off with teaching you about these script files, all right? And the first thing that I'm going to teach you about is that this name here, where it says public class and it said square, that was the first thing I typed in when I first created that game object. Because at first I thought, you know what I want that thing to be? A square, right? And then what happened is we started talking, and I thought to myself, it makes more sense if instead of using squares to show actions and properties and methods, I should use the name water bottle since I've already been using that as my real-world example. So that way you can attach in your mind the properties of the water bottle to the game object. And that'll help you associate and remember these things that I'm going to teach you even better. All right, so what we're going to do is inside this square, we're going to have to rename this to match. So really fast, we're going to go to water bottle. WATERBOTTLE. And again, if you really want to match the same style, it is important that you want to match this, okay? Because this is the language, this is the standards, these are the styles of the people that use this every day. So you want to follow their format for this language. And you want to kind of learn that a little bit. I'm not going to teach it to you right now, but you can observe it. Some of this stuff comes already. You can just kind of look and figure it out. It looks like when they write the word using, they use a lowercase u every time. These people do in this country that I live in, this C# land that I've just moved into, okay? Imagine the language like a legitimate language. Like this is actually the language of your universe, of your own world that lives inside of Unity. And this is the language that things speak to exist, okay? And inside of here, like this is what defines the world. This is your God powers, all right? This is everything. This is the, then there was what, I don't want to do the big G God here on anybody because I don't want to have any associate. I want this to be a very secular educational course that you can watch. But I'm just saying, like, for reference, and so you can understand it, whether you subscribe to anything or not, you should understand and be aware that there's, this concept that some people do have, and the omnipotent being all over everything creates things. There's creator. All right, so now you get to pretend that you are that, and there's nothing wrong with pretending role playing that. Now you're in here and you get to do stuff, and I'm going to use that example over and over again. And now I get to be the creator, okay? And what do I want to do at the beginning of my universe? When water bottles come into existence, what do I want to happen at the beginning? That's what the start area is. This was in the beginning, all right? So in the beginning of all existence, instead of this, whatever they write here, what is it? Start is called before the first time frame update. That is so robotic, right? What it should say here is like in the beginning, right? Like... of your personal universe. This is where you can set up water bottles for the first time, right? If it's on a water bottle, but maybe it's on a dog, right? Maybe it's on a baby. Maybe it's on a single-celled organism, And when it first starts, you want to kick something off. You want to do something at that very moment, but you don't want it to happen all the time. Just when it first comes into existence, okay? That's what the start is. That happens right when it comes into being, all right? So if the water bottle doesn't exist at all, like if I was a magician, I was like, no water bottle, right? And then water bottle. Something happens one time, the moment it exists, right? The very second it snaps into reality, I have an opportunity as an all-powerful, game developer to go in and set a couple of things up ahead of time that I might want. Like maybe it's health or it's hit points or something like that, right? Or maybe how much water's in it, okay? So that's what the start's for. That's what start does. It lets you say right away in the beginning, what do I want to begin on this thing that I've created in my imagination, in my world that I have now, okay? Because that's what programming is. That's what this is. The whole time you do this, you're going to be using your imagination, and you're going to be creating anything you think of in Unity, in your game engine, in Godot, in whatever you're using. You're going to create it in there, and you're going to make it. And you're going to be able to will it into existence by thinking and taking it out of your mind, out of the void where it's in your head, and then going into and creating it as an object. And then you can do what I've talked about in the last video set, and that was you can then abstract in, and then you can go from an object, and now you can make it a water bottle, right? And now it's a water bottle, and now we're going to add even more detail, and now it's going to be a very specific water bottle. It's going to be the instance of a water bottle, right? And then we're going to put very specific detail on that instance of a water bottle, and we can have multiple water bottles, and we can make water bottles, and we do all sorts of stuff with them. Once we start to create the water bottle in our universe inside Unity, then we have it. Then it's ours to do what we want with, and it's there now. It's kind of like being in the Matrix almost, right? Like that movie by, the movie, The Matrix from the 90s or whatever. with Keanu Reeves. That's what I'm talking about. You get to just do whatever you want now. It's really, really fun. That's why I love game development. It's because I'm free. If I can think it, I can do it. It might be hard, but there's probably a way to try to get there. And it's like having complete freedom. Like you can just do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to imagine. All right? So here we go. In the beginning of your personal universe, this is where you can do whatever you want. You set up here, set stuff up. I'm just going to say set stuff up. Okay, we're set stuff up. We're just gonna be casual. We're not gonna do any of this technical talk during the stuff. I'm gonna create a bug at some point. I'm gonna show you how to Google that bug, and we'll talk a little bit about syntax and technical stuff then. But during this, I'm not talking code. I'm just gonna go through really how I game jam. You can figure out the code stuff in Discord. You can figure out the code stuff on Google. I'm gonna teach you the tools to go and find the help that you need to be able to go and do tutorials and learn this. What I'm trying to teach really is how to just do a game jam, how to make a video game really, but also how to think about the world like a game developer also, so you can design better, so you can think of more things, so you can be more creative. And the only way I can do that is to really just walk you through my process, but also give you lots of context about why I think these things and why I got to that thought. Because I think if you understand how I'm teaching it to you and why I'm teaching it to you and why I think these things and how I got here, that you might spread this message to other people someday. You might share with them the joy that is creating games. I want this to go out to other people. I want other people to make games. I want to wake up someday when this is just like reading and writing. And maybe not making games, but maybe at least looking at source code. Maybe like nobody's scared anymore to open up and view source on a web browser when there's a bug. And anybody can just report the bug, and people feel comfortable because we've all made at least one game before, right? Isn't that what you do? Yeah, I mean, we've all thrown a baseball, right? Or played a game of putt-putt, or maybe we all haven't done those things, but a majority or a lot of people have. A lot more than there are people making video games, that's for sure. And at least those game jams and stuff like this, that's fun and amazing. So here we go. All right, so the update. What's the update then? All right, so in the beginning, that's where you have a spot to set up. Well, the update, that's what's going on when your universe is alive, when your universe is in motion, okay? As a game developer, you create this world and then you turn it on. And that's when people are playing it. So what's going on in the update statement is what's going on in time right now, all right? So start is like at the beginning of the time, like when time begins, like what would you like? Okay, and that's kind of what your IDE is asking you, all right? If we personify like this software a little bit, what it's saying to you in the start, okay, in this block, in this little area, like up here, what it's saying is, sir, game developer, what would you like to begin? How would you like to start with this water bottle thing that you're telling me about? Right? And you're like, oh, I think water bottles should have a random amount of fluid or something like that. You can do that. You can describe that in here. And then in the update section, in the update block, you might be wondering, like, okay, so this goes on while it's going on. So this is just happening all the time. And so anything you write in here is going to get called over and over and over and over and over as much as it can, because your universe wants to run and breathe and be alive. So it's going to do whatever it can do to go as fast as it can go, to call this as many times as it can do it, so that way it can be as alive as it can for you, okay? So keep that in mind, that this update is just going to go, 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 all right? And so here, like this, gets repeated when your universe is alive, all right? Okay? All right, that's what we're going to say. All right, just like that. I don't care. It's weird. It's not how normal people describe it. It's how I'm describing it, because I'm going to do it a little bit different, so maybe other people can get into it. I didn't go to school. I wasn't taught by books. I was taught by me, and so I learned it a little bit differently. So I think I teach it a little bit differently, because this is how I learned it. I thought about it like this when I took the other games apart. All right. Okay, and at the very, very top, there's another spot up here that's not labeled at all. And I'm just going to call this the properties. And we've talked about those a little bit, all right? But this is where you can kind of set those. So there's 3 spots here. There's one where we can talk and describe the object at the top. Those are called properties. Then there's a spot below that. It's called start, and that happens right when your object begins to exist in space. And there's a spot after that, and that is called update, and that happens the whole time your universe is in motion. Very, very cool. Now, inside your IDE, us game developers, right? Like these big, powerful creatures that can create universes inside tools like Unity, these magical things like you and me that we get, and we get to make these little windows and we share them with our friends. Like, hey, look what was in my universe. Oh, that's really cool. I'm really addicted to this guy's universe. Oh, I can't stop looking at this guy's universe. I mean, you can kind of think about it like that when you're playing games. That's what you're doing. You're just like, you're making out, you're not making out, you're making up like just different things, like different, fantasy, imaginary stuff when you're making a game, and then you're sharing it with friends, and that's it. And the big hit games, big hit games, those are just games that are like really good. Like that guy, he's got a really good imagination. You know what I mean? That's fun. He found some really interesting things, and that inspired a lot of creativity. And then he got some really good mechanics that hooked me. And fundamentally, that's really breaks down game development. Okay, I had to a message I gotta check on that. Hold up. Yeah, we're good. All right, cool, sweet. This is Alec. He's out still. Is awesome. Cool. I get to hang out longer. All right, sweet. The studio myself. The Shopee, and we're gonna do some stuff with Shopee Rock soon. Good stuff. Alrighty, cool. So yeah, we have properties here, all right, and we have the start block, and we have the update. Right? In properties, you can describe anything we want about the object. So I'm just gonna set some stuff up on here. I want to know the volume, right? What's the volume, right? I'm just gonna write volume, and I don't mean the sound of it. I mean like volume, right? And volume is what? Volume is a number. It's like math, right? It's not a name like a label. It's a number that we can add and subtract and do stuff with, and so for that reason, I think sometimes it's written with decimal points in it, and so for that reason we use it. It's called a float here. Okay, I'm gonna type the word float, and float means it has a floating point. It means that it has a decimal point that can move. That's not set in place all the time. So the difference between a decimal and a float is that a decimal has precision. Decimals usually have precision. They know right where that decimal point is going to be. And you're going to interact with that object type, which is a type of object also. It's a type of number, a decimal. You have a whole number, which is a type of number, and you have a decimal number, which is a type of number. And if we go back to that conversation about abstracting, again, we had the bottle of water, which is also a bottle, which is a container, which is an object, which exists, right? When we zoom in and out. I'm a human. I'm a white guy on Twitch. Then I'm a human, right? You know what I mean? And you can zoom in, white guy, and you zoom in again, you know what I mean? Now I'm Tiger J, I'm Jamie, and then you zoom out again. You know what I'm saying? So depending on what level of abstraction, like at one spot you just get properties. At one spot you get properties and details. You know what I mean? You can make up level. Like I just made this up to teach this to you, so it doesn't matter. All right? It makes it easier to have these conversations if we can just learn to navigate those. And I'm going to beat that to death. I'm going to beat the devil out of abstraction, Morph. All right? It's really loud. All right, so anyway, I got the float, okay? And the float means that the decimal point can just move around a lot, all right? And the reason that we're specifying this is because C#, which is the language that we're speaking, like German or Russian or French or English or Japanese or whatever, the language that we're speaking, it requires us to be zoomed in at that level when we talk about numbers and other types of objects that represent specific pieces of information. I'm going to repeat that one more time just in case you're watching, so you have to rewind and go back and forth again. So what happens is in C#, which is the language that we're using with Unity, is that language requires you to be zoomed in at that abstraction like we've been talking about. Only when you're doing these objects, you have to do that. You have to zoom in for these, and then you can define them. It's called a strictly typed language, is what that means. And all that means you can't just say, well, and this is a weird case where you can in C#, but I like to say strictly typed because I find the code to be easier to read, and that's my preference, okay? Back to that MLA style stuff or MLS style stuff, again, is that some people prefer it one way, and, they have a strict code in how they do it, but there's also your code and how you want to do it, and sometimes you can have your own styles in there. It all depends on the situation. If I'm working on a team with 3 other developers, I might want to learn their styles first and be the person that bends to them so that I can help them out. The reason I might want to be the person that bends to them is because I know I'm capable of doing that. I don't care about my style a whole lot. I can just look because I'm competent. I understand. I'm literate in code. I can tell what they're trying to do. So it doesn't matter if they don't follow the style. Maybe they don't know it. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they have an idea about why it's wrong. Okay? It's okay to think about things because this is yours. This is your game. It's your imagination. So the guidelines are there, right? That you should tab these out. But you can break the rules. Nobody's going to stop you from doing this. Okay? It looks weird. I don't want to work with you if you do that. When I see it, I want you to try to do it like everybody else does it. But if that's really how you want to do it, and that's what works for you, then just do it. Don't be stuck with, like, don't be so obsessed with standards and rules. They're very, very powerful and they're very important. But I'd rather you at least try to get in and write code and worry less about formatting until you get to a level where you're writing and, like, doing it for you're making money, okay? Imagine that. Imagine writing short stories and fan fiction, but being treated by everybody that you show the stories to, by getting treated like you should have been writing them at the level of a professional author. And then they start to, like, say that, oh, well, you're doing that wrong. You shouldn't put your sentence like that. You shouldn't put your periods there. You used a predicate instead of a verb. Oh, look at this guy. Because that's how we live right now. And I know that a lot of people probably don't get into programming because they're scared of that environment. It's not a good environment to have. It's not healthy. All right, so let's not do that to each other. What we want to do is try to help each other get and fall into habits that are good. But an easy way to do that might be just to bend to there. If I'm working on a team and I'm doing a game jam with 2 other people, because I'm code literate, I can understand objects and methods no matter what, because I understand how they relate to the real world. I can then use that as a model where I can translate to any other programming language, almost like Rosetta Stone or like Latin. And that's what I'm trying to teach you, really, is like the Latin of game development or programming, kind of what I think it is. After teaching it to lots of people over and over again and experimenting with how I do it and trying to come up with different analogies and methods, I think I finally have a way that works pretty good. And I want to share that with the world as much as I can. And that's why I'm making this video. So here you go. So you can have properties on your water bottle, okay? And you can describe it up here. And now I'm going to use a float because I want to know the volume of it. So the float of this water bottle, right? And I'm going to call this volume. So I'm just name volume. And I type this lowercase also. So lowercase float, lowercase volume, I'm going to hit a semicolon here, okay? And what that tells me is that I want to remember what the volume is of this object, right? I want to know, when I'm talking about water bottles, I want to know what they are, all right? So I put it on there and I hit save, okay? And now when I go back to the game engine, nothing's going to change. Once it compiles, we won't see a difference, okay? But you might have been thinking that you should have seen that show up here, right? Like all this other stuff's up here, right? Why didn't it show up over here? Okay, that's weird. That's odd. But it's right here. Well, that's because if you don't tell it that you want to be able to see it there, then it's going to keep it private to itself. Okay, and a lot of times, that's a way that we can really explicitly tell other objects what we want their capabilities to be. Like, because if we don't say what information should be available to view and which information should be private, then our objects can get kind of messy and we can start to get kind of confused over what we're seeing inside of our universe if everything's just flying all over the place. Imagine if, like, we had no walls in any of our houses, okay? All right, just bear with me here, okay? Not that big of a deal. All the houses are glass. That's kind of interesting, okay? Now imagine that all the walls are glass in the world, okay? And you're driving in a busy city, okay? And now do you see a problem with that? Like now, if you're in a busy city, like out here in the suburb where I'm at, I can have glass walls all over the place. That's not that big of a deal. I'll just do whatever I want, right? Okay, not a big deal, all right? But when you're doing it like in a big deal with like a really big project or a really complicated thing like a large city, okay, with lots of moving parts, lots of objects, okay, and you're adding more and more noise, lots and lots of complexity, things that are going, subways, all sorts of stuff, skyscrapers, helicopters, everything, all these objects in this universe. Well, you don't want everybody to be able to see everything and do everything with everyone. That would be terrible. You wouldn't be able to drive down the road. If everything was see-through, you'd freaking wreck your car. You'd be too distracted. There'd be so much noise. You'd be overloaded, right? So you want to be careful about what's out there and what's not, what you can see, what you can't see. Or if he says, I just watched Primer. Cool. All right. Oh, you didn't notice I was live again. Cool. Right now we're creating a water bottle in Unity. Yeah. This is a very long Game Jam event. I have yet to start making the game, but hopefully I'm setting a lot of people up for being able to make games who've never done it before. Okay? All right. Cool. Excellent. All right, so how do I get this up there? There's really kind of two things that you can do that I know of, and these might be outdated. These are things that I do. There might be better things to do out there, but I'm just going to give you what you need to know to get started. And then, later on, like, we can talk about what the right thing to do is, what we should do and what not, and then you can get worried about, best practices and stuff. But for the time being, you're just writing for the first time, right? So I'm not expecting you to write me a book that I can then go and hand off to a publisher or something like that. I'm the level of quality that your first game that you're ever gonna write is probably gonna, you're just gonna try to get it to work. If you can get it to work, then that's good enough, okay? And you've already, that's really great. If you finish, that's awesome, okay? And just have fun and play with it. All right, so what I'm gonna do here in this property section is I'm gonna create what's called a serialized field, okay? And what this is, this is special to Unity, I think, or C#, whoa, the jump made me scared. Endeavor, thanks so much for the follow. And what this is it's a special tag that just says, hey, I want to be able to see this when I'm in the editor. This is something, as a powerful game developer, super powerful game developer, I want, when I'm looking and I'm trying to work with my imagination in the world that I'm creating, in this fantasy place that I have in front of me, that's really a canvas of my imagination where I can do anything I want to do. I look at water bottles that I've created in there. I want to be able to see what the volume is. And now when I come back, I can. And the engine that we've built to manage this, we've also built a tool where we can actually change it like this. And we can increase, and you can actually go off the screen. You can keep going off the screen forever. Because they realize that it's really annoying with your mouse when you can't do that. So you can just keep going. And you can drag up, and you can drag down. Or you can let go, and you can click right in here, and you can change the number, right? 5. You can type right in it. And that. Or you can even do math in here, right? So let's say you want it to be 6 times 2. You can do 6 times 2 and hit return, and now you have 12, right? So you don't even really have to do math inside these fields or have a calculator. You can just type it right in the field and do it. So if you have a complicated thing, you're oh, it needs to be 1/2 of 350 times 2. You can really just you just act like there's a calculator in here, right? 1/2 of 350, it's I just said 350 over again. But if I do 350, right? So I have a new keyboard, it's hard to see, 350 over 2, right? Right, so boom, times 2. And I can get in here and do a little asterisk, times 2, and I'm back again. So just break out your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's the pneumatic device tree. Remember that. And that'll get you in. That's what I use anyway to remember my order of operations. So if you need to do math in here, you just type it in and do it. You can type letters, but that's probably going to cause a problem. Okay. All right. So the volume of this bottle of water is 16.9 fluid ounces. All right. So we're going to 16.9 fluid ounces, all right? And that's what's in the bottle of water, all right? My bottle of water is right here. Now we do have this sprite render on here. What these components are, they're additional things that add more properties onto the object. And you can access them from your script that you have over here. You can get in from your script and you can reference different things that are in here on this sprite renderer, which is a different label on the bottle. It's if I put a piece of tape on here now that I just wrote on it and I said water bottle in Sharpie, that would be down here on the bottom piece. And then this label up here with all this high technical information and pretty graphics and stuff, that's going to be my sprite renderer. And it's got all sorts of detail on it, and it's fancy. And I didn't make that. It came from somewhere else, right? But it has information on it, and it looks like I could do some things to it. I can change a little bit of the information on it if I need to, all right? But somebody else put this on here. I didn't put this on here. Mine thing, I put a piece of tape on the bottom. And that's my water bottle class that I created. So I'm just going to take this off. with here, right, and stick it on, all right? So, like, to show you visually, all right, what I'm doing, okay? This right here where it's green on here, on the water bottle, I have a green screen, but I put a piece of tape on it. That's probably a really bad choice. I put a piece of tape on the water bottle, and that is like my water bottle script. It's right here. And on it, I could have just wrote volume equals 16.9, okay? Right here on my water bottle, all right? On my little piece of tape. And up above that, though, above that, where there's a sprite renderer, that's like this label, okay? And that has a lot of other stuff in it, and I didn't make this. It came from somebody else. Okay. Now, it looks like it doesn't have a sprite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find, really quick, using Google, a water bottle image for me to use in my video game that I'm making for my game jam. All right? I don't know why we need a water bottle yet, but we'll tie it into the story somehow. And we'll figure out a way to. And you know what? It's going to make it funny somehow, or it's going to be weird, or it's going to be different. And it's going to give it a really good sense of uniqueness. Because these aliens are coming to get furniture, this Rococo furniture, from Earth. And now they want to know which territory it's coming from. And they're like, I don't know. I should figure that out. And they're going to like try to min-max it. And you want to make as much profit as you can. And you only get one shot to get the furniture, okay? And that's our furniture quiz. Really, all this is the game to tell the difference between Baroque furniture and Rococo furniture. That's all this is going to do. And at the end, it's going to train people how to do it. And by the end of everybody playing it, they're actually going to know the difference between the two types of furniture. So this game jam that somebody created that we've taken on and now we're creating and making the game, now we're going to start to teach people other information through playing. And that's the beauty of games. And that's why it's important that we share this with as many people as we can. Because this is a much funner way to learn information. If when I went to school, I wasn't handed books and a teacher at the front of the class, but they let me play a video game, but still let me kind of teach a lot of this stuff and like let me get that lessons, I would have really probably absorbed that information a lot faster than I would have if I had to sit there when I was tired and hungry and watch somebody and I was half asleep and I was trying to drink coffee and they're handing me flashcards saying, all right, kids, memorize these things, horse, dog, cat, fart, or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a bad way to do it. Like, that isn't fun at all. And look at how people absorb things. I guarantee you that if you had somebody flashcards and you had somebody this game that we're going to make, at the end of an hour, if somebody spent an hour with the flashcards and somebody spent an hour playing the game, that the people that spend an hour playing a game where they get the Rococo furniture will be able to tell me the difference between Rococo and Baroque furniture way faster than anybody who had the flashcards. And if we gave the person who played the game the flashcards, they'd be able to solve them probably almost instantaneously. And that person might even get them wrong. If you gave me the flashcards, I would get it wrong. And not because I'm biased and I want to prove a point that games are way better to teach people information than flashcards. What I want to try to do is prove a point. Like, that's just who I am. It's how I'm wired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just know that I will fail at memorizing flashcards. I don't learn that way. My brain doesn't work like that. My brain is broken like that. Or I just don't have those parts that other people have. And that's cool. I respect people that can memorize everything. Alex Shoppy, who runs the channel with me, can tell me what I ordered at the restaurant the first day he brought me my food and he was serving me dinner. Because he was my waiter. That's how we met. The first night we met, he was serving me and my girlfriend. That's how I met Shoppy. And so he was serving me food, right? But he can tell me what I ordered, the bill, everything, right? He can tell me what I ordered the next day. He has a near photographic memory. I don't. We're complete opposites in that way. I'll tell you what, though, it comes in handy all the time because I can't find anything. I'm an absent-minded dude. I lose stuff everywhere. I lose computers. I lose cars. Like, I mean, I have lost my car before. Like, forgot where I parked it. Like, not in the parking lot, the location, like, a while ago. It's been a couple years since I've done one of those. But, like, tell you what, it's nuts. Like, I'm more focused on other things. Okay? Let's go in here. Enough with the ranting. Let's go back to our game. I want to make this game with you guys. All right, here we go. We need a water bottle. We need to Google for it, okay? And we're going to Google for our water bottle. We're going to find a water bottle. A water bottle. We want some kind of, I would say, let's say watercolor. I like watercolor. Watercolor is a cool style. And you know what? This kind of looks like watercolor in the background here where this bear's at and stuff. So we're just going to watercolor. And we're going to look for a specific water bottle. Okay, now if I type water bottle here, well, first I can see that watercolor is supposed to be one word, right? Because Google's correcting me. So I'm going to go up here and delete a space. All right. Now at the end, I'm going to do water bottle. right? And now I might be looking for like water bottle labels or watercolor. Water bottle might be like water bottles that you use with watercolor, right? So that might not be good. So I'm going to say watercolor, water bottle like this in double quotes. And what this means is that all the results that come back are going to have that phrase guaranteed. They won't get any results that don't have that. I'm going to hit return. Okay. And now I'm getting products and stuff like this with money signs and stuff. I don't want money and I don't want anything from Etsy. Okay. So now I'm going to say minus. All right. And I'm going to say anything with a dollar sign on it. So now I'm going to eliminate everything that costs money. Okay, this will return no results with a dollar sign. And when I hit return, boom, I shouldn't get it anymore. I got some prices here and stuff, but I definitely don't want Etsy, right? So let's do Etsy, right? Okay, because that's like artist stuff. That's stuff that they're making. And remember, I talked a lot earlier in the other video. You don't want to rip off anybody's arts. Okay, now we're going to search for images. I'm kind of seeing water bottle. I'm going to say illustration. And what I'm doing is I'm just building a query in Google, and I'm trying to do it in a way to where I can keep refining the results with my query string as I search for the material of what I want to find. Okay, I can go to tools and I can click, all sorts of stuff over here. I'm going to do some of that, but first I want to hone in, and I want to kind of find out. Yeah, Morty says, I love this neat Google stuff. I live on those. So the reason I know how to do this, okay, is because I deal with business software all day, which changes almost every 3 months, okay? And there's new versions and new tools and new stuff that comes out. But it's also moving at a rapid pace, and they're constantly taking away features and adding features in. And it's critical that any material that I send out to any clients or customers or any work that I do for anybody inside their system, that I'm doing what's best, because I'm supposed to be that top tier person. There's really nobody supposed to be above me in my field when it comes to consulting in that space. I'm supposed to be that guy, okay? And so if there comes a spot where I am searching for something, usually I've been doing it for 15 or 16 years now, so I don't have to search a whole lot. But I still do, just to double check, just because I don't want to disappoint my customer, right? Right now, your customer is your user, whoever's going to play your game. That's your customer. You do have a customer when you create art, and that's the people that look at your art. And when you're making a game and a game dev, you're creating art. So you have a customer, and you gotta be conscious of what they're doing. A little bit of game dev is customer service. There's a little bit in there, and a little bit of psychology. And you want to create and make sure that they're having fun, that your customer is happy. So when you're making your game jam game, and when you're making your game, keep in mind you want to keep your customer happy, okay? And as long as your customer's happy, then you're probably gonna have a good game, all right? And people are gonna have fun playing it. The key to making your customer happy is to be your customer, okay? That's how you do it, all right? And so then all you have to do is, again, same level of imagination that we've been using all along. We're just going to put ourselves in the customer's shoes, all right? We're going to pretend we're our customer for a little bit, all right? And then when we pretend we're our customer and we're playing, we're going to do this as we work on the game tonight. I'm probably going to stay up and do an all-nighter now. If Alex's not coming home, I can just stream all night. I'm going to go through and do as much on this game as I can because it's a game jam game. And dang it, it's my New Year's resolution. It's my company, my house. Let's go to work tomorrow tired. I don't care. All right? Let's have fun. And it's for the art. And why not? Global Game Jams at the end of the month. And if I can get this video out like today or tomorrow or the next day, and I can put it on YouTube and I can share it with people, then people all over the world can learn how to make games before Global Game Jam, and then we can play lots of games. I mean, this could be the biggest global game jam ever, right? If we can get lots of people to at least join our teams, you don't even have to make a game, but at least you're literate enough that you can participate and you're not scared or intimidated to show up at the site. I don't even care if you make a game or not. But if you watch this video and you feel comfortable enough afterwards that you're like, hey, that was kind of cool. I actually want to do that with some people. Well, at the end of the month, I hate to tell you this, but there are thousands of locations all over the world that want you to come do it, and they'll feed you, most of them, or there's snacks, or there's parties, or there's people, and there's people that have been doing this for years. And when you show up and you're like, I watched this video, and this guy just showed me how to do this thing, and I thought it's cool, and now I'm here, and I'm super excited. Well, then you're going to be part of our family, and we want you to be part of our family, because game developers love other game developers. Because this is hard. Sometimes it does get hard because we want to try to do really cool things because we know that our imaginations are limitless and we know that our games can be limitless too. But we need more people to be making the games with us in order to be able to get there, right? Because we all need to be able to work and learn and build off each other. And as we go, you'll learn how that works in development. We actually have a secret library that we don't tell people about a whole lot. And it's unlike anything else humanity has ever created. It's called a repository, all right? And inside of that, there's knowledge that we just share with each other, and we have tools that we build, and no other profession in the world has this. And it's super, super amazing. And it's allowed us to do great things with our profession. But again, nobody else has this in their profession. It's only in game development and programming that we created this almost like a Library of Alexandria that we have access to. And that's how I'll explain it to you, a little bit like that. And you have a key to it. As long as you have an IDE, you can go in and you can pull tools and bring things in and use stuff that people have built before. And those people are still maintaining it because people are fans of it and they need it. And we all depend on it because we've built a platform and an infrastructure now that sometimes transitions languages. And it's tools that we have that we're using, that we're building all the coolest software with right now today. And you're going to be literate enough in this by the time you watch this, that you can go to any language, in any programming language, and you can pick it up and at least start to understand and read. And that's my goal. I want everybody that watches this video to be able to go, when they're done with it, and learn to read code. I don't care if it's C#, I don't care if it's Java or Lua or whatever it is. I don't care what engine you use. I don't care anything about that. I have absolutely no care. But I'm sick of living in a world where I'm the dude at the Christmas party in the corner and I can't talk to anybody about what I do or my passions because I don't have any game developer friends. And then once a year I get to go to GDC, which is extremely expensive. But I'm the only, and I can afford to go there, so it's cool for me, and I get to hang out with like 60,000 like-minded game developers, and it's pure bliss. It's like being in heaven. And that could be everywhere, and that could be every day. I could have those kind of meaningful conversations that I had at GDC the first time I went there in 2018. The first time I ever went there was then. It was like only 2 years ago. But when I went there, it was a magical experience. And everybody's talking about how magical GDC is. GDC is so magical, right? And then the next year I went, and it was even more mad. It's like, it'll never get better than it was the first time. That's what I said. And I went back the second time, and it was even better, right? And then I came back and I'm like, why? Why does it feel so, why do I sleep so good? Why do I feel so good when I'm there? Like as a human being, like in a deep human level, I feel amazing when I'm at GDC. And I think the reason is because everybody that's around me, I can finally talk to on a level that they understand what I'm saying. And their eyes don't glaze over. And they're not trying to get out of the conversation because they feel a little awkward because he's talking code again. You know what I mean? I can read that on people. I'm not stupid. I know when I go off and I talk to people about programming, and it hurts. Because it's like, I want you to be here with me. But you can't be because you don't try. And you don't try because it's scary. And because nobody's teaching it in a way, at a very low fundamental level, to older people who can get access to it. I'm sure my little brothers are getting this in grade school. I hope to God they are. We should be teaching the first graders like this. I could talk to somebody who's 7 years old right now and explain all the things that I've just explained to you. So why aren't we? You know what I mean? Like, if I had that foundation, which was impossible when I was a kid because this didn't exist. Okay, I didn't have computers in my school when I was in 7th grade. I didn't have computers in my school, I did when I was in 7th grade, but I mean when I was 7 years old. But if I could have learned this when I was 7, I can't even imagine or tell you the developer that I would be today. Because I would have 20 years on top of the 20 years that I have, right? And that would be unreal. I can't even imagine having 40 years of code experience. Or 37 years, or whatever. I'm 36, so 30 years of code experience instead of 20, all right? Or 25 or whatever. Anyway, I would have been thinking about the world a lot differently because it took me 37 years to get this spot with my head about how I look at things and be able to share it with people. And I really, really wish that we could do that with kids right now. Like just strangers, just tell them, be like, hey, this is what coding is like here you go, da-da-da-da-da. And you're done. Like you just talked about objects and the abstraction layers. That's all you have to do. And they'll probably look at you like you're crazy. But you know what? Maybe if 1 out of 10 of them doesn't, then it's worth it. All right, here we go. So serialized field will show us the volume. And again, I'm going to cut probably a lot of this hypothesis stuff off and just stick on making jams when I do this for YouTube and cut out all this extra footage and whatnot. But here we go. All right, so we have the volume here. There's another way that you can show the property on there, and that's to make this public. And these are two different things, okay? So I'm going to show you here. So if I take a serialized field off, and then I hit save and I make it public. And again, this is canvas space. Like, feel free, make this yours. Like, it doesn't matter what you write in here. Like, this is your stuff. If it's in green, it's like English. So there's actually 2 languages going on here at the same time. You have English and you have C#. Everything here, everything in green And your colors might be different if you're using a different IDE, which you can use. That's the program that's running and letting me look into the molecules of my objects, if this was a universe, okay? So you understand atoms and building blocks and all that, and if we use that as an example, and my water bottle is sitting right here, right there, right? That's my water bottle. And I'm looking at my source code here. This is... Good night, Morphe. Take it easy. This, I'll be up probably all night. If you wait in the middle of the night, I'm going to probably just be going on this for a while until I have my game done. I'm probably going to just make my whole game tonight, though. It'll be sweet. I'm actually getting kind of hoarse, though. I think I need to get a new bottle of water. I think I need to take a little... I'll probably take a break in like 20 minutes, but anyway. What you do is you have two languages here. And everything in green is a comment. This is a way for you to write your notes. Like, I am thinking about adding in the fact that it is open or closed, but I am not sure, right? You can just write whatever. Hi, Mom, right? You can do whatever you want in here. That's the idea, and you can use 2 slashes in C# to write yourself those notes. There's one other way you can write notes, and that's to do a slash, a star, and a slash. All right, so just like that. It's like a little diagonal, like TIE fighter kinda almost, like it's like, right, like that. They're forward slashes because they lean forward. All right, so forward slash star forward slash. And if you're wondering like what a slash is, all you have to do is look at how it leans. Okay, so let me zoom in on this code. All right, so this is a slash here, and if it's a forward slash, then it leans forward, and if it's a backslash, it leans backward. It might be weird that I'm going through this with you, but I run into a lot of spots where, like, in life, I'm talking to someone, like, yo, go ahead and hit forward slash this, and that, and they hit that. So, and I don't know how old you are. You might be, like, 5 years old. You might not even know how a slash is. So this way you know, okay? So this is a pole standing up, and if it leans forward, it's a forward slash, and if it leans backwards, it's a backslash, okay? That's the difference between a forward slash and a backslash. And a lot of people might have been too self-conscious to even ask, you know what I mean? I don't want to ask what the difference is, you know what I mean? My first office job, I didn't know how to fax. So I just walked over and I was like, hey, I got to fax something. And they're like, yeah? I'm like, mm-hmm. And they're like, so go to the fax machine? And I'm like, mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Because I know how to fax, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, sure, that's cool. All right, so that's like what you want to do is you want to make sure you know this stuff. Don't be afraid to ask either, because a lot of times, a lot of us, we ask a lot of questions because there's a lot of stuff to remember when it comes to these languages, right? So don't be afraid to ask for help. And if someone's being toxic to you and they're picking on you for the way that you write something or anything, just ignore them. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You might ask a question and people like, oh, you should obviously know that. This and this. There are people out there who are going to have attitudes when you write code. It's just going to happen. That's just how it is, right? There are people who have opinions who are going to criticize you. And they're going to say, you should never do it that way. I would never do it that way. And it's just the way that they talk. It's just how they learn how to express what they think. And you just gotta take it in as that. You just gotta be calm about it and just understand that this is your imagination. This is your world. It's not their world. They have no power over this. This is where you live, okay? So just do it your way and do what you want to do. And just ignore them. It's not important, okay? So never feel like you're not doing it right, okay? Because the only right way to do anything in here is your way. Because it's your imagination, it's your game, okay? That's the important thing to remember. That's the very, very most critical thing that you should always remember. Okay, so here you can do that, all right? And there's a kind of a thing that a lot of developers have been doing it for a long time. So I'm showing you kind of like the authors are like, you know, when Shadow Knight says, I want you to have a GDC talk, Jimmy. Yeah, me too, buddy. Someday, maybe. But that's the thing is I'm not very industry, okay? I'm more art than industry. I don't make games for money. I make games for the experience of making games. And that's a difference. And not to say that there's definitely an indie track and stuff at GDC, but the focus is definitely not on game jamming yet. But I will definitely have one if you help teach people this stuff and they like game jams and we can spread knowledge. But it's such a new thing because we're like a new medium in the medium. We're like meta, okay? It's a young thing. Like this is not, it's not that old. Game jamming is fairly new. And now colleges are starting to study people like you and me and Rain Drinker and Iris and other people that do game jams and Securus and Android Concepts. And if Meandering Leaf has ever interviewed any of you guys, he's either doing research on Twitch streaming, live streaming, or game jams. And he does research on game jams. And he's a scholarly academic who's an active part of our community. And he's a wonderful person too. So if you ever have any ideas about game jams or philosophies and stuff on it, make sure you share them with him because we want the educators to be aware of this medium and what we're doing in it. They're highly interested in us. Like all of us, like you're doing things right now that have not been done before in art, and that's a very exciting time. And you should think about that when you're making your game jam games. These are things that are going to be talked about in the future. They're going to get looked back on as being these things that existed in this time when we were transitioning into a new medium and a new type of art. And that's a lot to do with IT and that curve. Like, this is all fairly new. You're living in as a generation, I'm living as a generation where I grew up without this and now we have it, which is very, very unique. And it doesn't happen that often in a large-scale paradigm shift like something like the internet, which can be attributed to something like electricity or the automobile, right? Or the steam engine, okay? It's that level. Like, that's actually the time period you're living in right now. You're living in the day that they're going to look back in history 100 years from now, and they're going to remember Facebook and Unity and game jams and Itch.io and GDC and all of the stuff that's going on right now with apps and technology. When you read back in your history book and they're talking about the Industrial Revolution and the steam engine and all that kind of stuff, what you're doing today with your game jams and everything, that is the history that they're going to read in those books in the future 100 years from now. So keep that in mind when you're acting and you're talking to people in public. And as you get successful as a game developer, which you will be if you try and you practice and you exercise, like as I talked in the first part of the video, you can exercise these things every day just by looking around the room and thinking about how actions mutate and change objects. Because that's all that's happening in every software, in every programming language, in every program, everywhere, in every app, on every phone, in every game. When it comes down to it, it's objects and actions and mutations. That's really kind of like the gist of it all. Really, you can get down to the core if you pull back far enough. That's what makes it all work. And then you can zoom in and you can move that abstraction closer. And then you get into very specific objects for different languages and libraries and that kind of thing. But just take a moment. And I'm kind of like teaching you the lesson with the lesson here, but that's how it works. It's kind of like a cyclical thing that I did, but that's how it functions, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, so there's another thing that we do here, and sometimes we put in to-dos, right? And we'll just do like to-do. So instead of writing this, I'm thinking about it, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't want to read that much, okay? Number one, I don't like to read. I really don't like to read. And number two, I got to put a to-do. I'll just do a to-do. I'm going to say, boom, I put a check mark, a dash like that. I'm showing you how I jam. Because remember, game jams have a time limitation. I think we only have about a few hours left here, right? One day and 1 hour. I have 26 hours left to make my game. And all I have right now is the volume of a water bottle. So I want to have aliens that are trying to discern the difference between two different types of furniture so they can get the most value when they go back to their home planet, all right? And then when I want to write a story about it at the end, all I have to do is ask myself one question, and that's why? Why are they doing it? And then the way to answer that is to be 5 years old in your bedroom playing with your toys and come up with a silly story. And when you're done, now you have a narrative to marry to your game mechanics, and now you have a game that has both a story and a narrative and a game mechanic. And the last thing you do is look at Mr. Joshua McClane's music and throw on some sound, do a little bit of artwork, and then you turn in your game jam game, and then you like hope that people like it. And then also what you do is you listen to their feedback and you take it into consideration. So the next time you do a game jam, you can do it a little bit better. And that's what we do. That's what game jammers do. People that game jam regularly, that's the process. Each time we go, we look at mechanics, we look at a theme, make a game, turn it out, play it, see if it's fun or not. We experiment. Sometimes we try things that are weird. Sometimes we put bottles of water in the game. I don't know why there's bottles of water in the game, but this is going to be tied into the game somehow. I guarantee you, because I'm doing work on it right now. When I do game jam game work, I don't really throw anything away. I try to keep everything that I used. So if I throw in a bottle of water and decide I don't need it anymore, but the object is still there, it's probably going to come along for the ride somehow. Because, I mean, why throw it away? Like, imagine, like, you're driving down the road in a truck, all right? And you can pick stuff up off the side of the road that you think of, all right? So I just picked up a water bottle that I created, and then I decided I want the game to be about something else. Well, don't delete the water bottle. Don't throw it away. Just, like, set it aside and be like, I might be able to use that later for something, okay? Because you're only going once, you know what I mean? Like, you can't get back on the bus once you've fallen off. So you want to kind of pick up everything that you take with you, okay? And the other thing is, if you have a bug, if you're under a spot where you have an issue, you want to take care of it right away. So if you can get by it and the game's still kind of working and you can do a little bit more work, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll just deal with that later. That's not a big deal. I'll deal with that later, all right? Don't do that in a game jam game, okay? You can probably get by with that in a big project and make a bug list and then have like a day where you just like hang out, put on some music and work on your bugs, and it's really fun and relaxing. But you will always have bugs. Software always has bugs. Unity has bugs. Windows has bugs. Everybody has bugs. That's just a way of, that's a fact, okay? That's just how it is. So don't be too upset, but try to squash it right away, all right? You'll probably have some gameplay errors where like somebody can get stuck or the game can never be won. You're going to see that here when I work on this game. This isn't going to be perfect. This game's going to be very far from perfect. Number one, because I've talked for already 8 hours of the game jam instead of writing any code or creating any game. Instead, I've laid a foundation for you to then write your own games. But what we're going to do here is we're going to start to create the game, and it's going to look a little rough probably, and I don't know if it's going to be fun or not at all. It might just be like a quiz, right? But at the end of it, you're going to be able to make it fun because you could say, hey, why wasn't this fun? What would make this fun? And you're going to be so code literate after watching this video and so comfortable with C# and Unity that you'll be able to take this project and use it on your own because I'm going to open source it. It's going to be on GitHub, so you just clone it down. I'm going to put it in the link in the videos and stuff like that. Everybody can have it and share it and play with it. And this will be it. That's it. Am I doing art? I don't know. I was thinking I was going to use images for art or assets that I have that I've gotten from Humble just to get through in time. I might try to draw some art though, but that depends on how much time I have left. That's a really good question, Shadow Knight. So Shadow Knight, who's in chat right now joining us, asked us if I was going to do art. Art tends to be my bottleneck. So that ends up for me personally. And it's good to know what your bottlenecks are when you're doing a game jam game. And that's kind of just like what your weakest area is. For me, it's art. I'm not a good artist. I struggle with it. And sometimes I can draw pretty good art for the style of game that I want, and sometimes I can't. And sometimes I just can't get something. Sometimes I can't make a dragon look like a dragon. Even if I've drawn 1,000 dragons 100 times, I can't do it. There's days where I'm just not in the funk for it, right? So there's two solutions to that, right? There's one is to join a team. Go to CrowdForge, right? There's a website called CrowdForge, and you can go there. You can type it in search. I'm not going to put that link in there. I'm not going to really put a whole lot of links into any of the chats or anything, or videos or comments or scriptures or nothing. Because I want people to want to go find this out for themselves. I want you to go find it. So just go to CrowdForge and then go and join a team for a game jam. And if I give you the link, then you'll probably just go there really quickly. But you might remember it more if you do it yourself. So for that reason, I'm going to kind of be a jerk and not do that kind of stuff intentionally. A lot of people on YouTube do highly polished tutorials and they put all the links and the guides in there for you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be different. And maybe that'll be just like weird in any way, but maybe it'll help market it out too. And spread the word about making game jams, which would be awesome too. All right, so we got the to-do list, and what I wanted to do with here is add in, I don't know, there's some feature, what is it? What did I want to track? Doesn't really matter. I can't remember that. How about if it has a lid or not? I've got 2 water bottles in front of me. One has a lid, one doesn't. So we'll just do has lid. Add a way to identify if there is a lid. Okay. I'll do that later when I come back. Right? And that's kind of how I'm leaving myself a note. Now, we're going back to that Google search that I left off on. Okay? Watercolor, da-da-da-da-da. All right, and now I'm looking, and I use tools. And now I want to see the use rights here, okay? So there's some options here. There's one that says labeled for reuse. There's one that says label for reuse with modification. And these are non-commercial reuses ones here. So we'll just go label for non-commercial reuse is fine because we're going to put this game open source and for free on itch.io and stuff. So we're not doing a commercial release on it. And it's not going to request any money or anything like that or pay what you want because we want people to download it and play it and there not to be any barriers for people to check it out. So I'm not allowed to use anything on here according to Google, which is not according to the website, which is not true, okay? I really can't use anything on this page just because I chose this to search with. I still have to go and do my due diligence as an artist who's using another artist's work to make sure that I have the rights to do so, okay? So let me find a cool looking water bottle that I want. I kind of like this water bottle. It looks pretty awesome. And it's at pixabay.com, okay? It says free download here, and here's the license. Free for commercial use, no attribution required, all right? And that's this little oval here. That's what this says, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this link, I'm gonna copy it, all right? So I wanna remember where I got this from, all right? Where he says, all right, here's a math question. I'm no math genius, so help me out here. Is radians from 0 to 2 pi? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's the circumference. Radian is from 0 to well, I mean, I have the internet. Let's just do that. We can ask Alexa, or we can look at the internet. Radians. 360 degrees to radians. Alexa, how many radians is 360 degrees?
360 degrees Fahrenheit is 182 degrees Celsius.
There you go. It's 182 degrees Celsius, Morphe. I can't do it off the top of my head, but I'm also kind of tired right now. I've been talking a lot. So 6.2. Yeah, it's 2 pi. Look at it. Because pi is 3.14159.265. So clearly 6.2319 is double that. Boom. Right? Is that, what's this divided by 2? Alexa, what's 6.28319 divided by 2?
6.2832 divided by 2 is 3.1416.
There you go. Yeah, it is pi. Twice. It's twice your pies, Morph. Twice your pies. All right. So we're going to download it, but what I want to do is save this link. Now, this is where I'm going to show you some of my game jam tricks here, okay? So we're getting into game jammy stuff, a little bit away from game dev, but more into the format, which is game jams. And that is where we're going to go into Trello. Okay? I'm going to create a little Trello board over here. I have a lot of boards. I'm going to bring this. Trello is a really cool Kanban tool, and that's a really weird word if you've never done that before. But I'm going to go here on my board and create a new board, and I'm going to call this board Rococo Rascal. All right? Cool. I like the word rascal. My mom has a cat named Rascal, and I'm gonna name it Rococo Rascal. Why does this say upgrade team? I don't need to upgrade the team. It's a private board. All right, public. Make the board public. All right, hold on 1 minute. These are my personal boards. Is there a limit to how many Trello boards you can have? Hold on. We're gonna go over here to another screen. I have to get rid of something. Okay, I told the community I was going to give them my ideas once a day, so I'm just going to do this one so I don't have to do it. This is a card where you throw cards on a mat, and it's a deck building card game at the same time. So instead of playing cards out of your hand, you toss them. So like maybe like Raindrinker's cards that he made, that deck of cards or something like that. You'd have a mat where your play zones are at, and then you want to throw the cards into certain zones. So that's one of my ideas. I'm going to post that in Discord now so I can delete this board because I never did it. And then somebody else can have it. And they can do it. Or they can ignore it. Or they can emulate it or make it a game or something like that. Tiger J's weird ideas. There you go. Tabletop game. All right, now I can delete this board. Finally. And it's called Deck Toss. That was the idea. Feel free to have it, whoever. Okay, I can't figure out how to delete boards now. Okay, so instead of, oh, I really want to use Trello for this because it's so good. That changes the name. Can't delete from here. Ah. Nope. Nope. Don't know what else to do. Great. I have to Google how to delete a Trello board now. There's water there. Alright, so how to delete a Trello board. You have to close it first. Okay, that's why you have to close it first. I don't really close Trello boards ever. All right. I kind of just use, actually, I don't have to do anything like that. What am I doing? Amateur hour. I'm just going to rename it. All right, Rascal. All right, there we go. I like alliterated names because I like them. They're fun and they're memorable, and it's a good marketing strategy. So a lot of times you'll see alliterated names. All right, and then we're just gonna archive this list here. I'm going fast, but I'm not really worried about showing you this tool and like every action about it. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it Trello, and I'll link it in the GitHub document on the README for the source code for this game, and I'll put the companion video up with this game too on my GitHub profile. So that way you can learn how to game jam. I'm going to share that out after it's all done. I'm going to try to get that all done and trimmed up by the end of the week, so that way be in time for Global Game Jam. Stay hydrated, Tiger. Yeah, I'm totally getting dry out. That's a good call. All right, so Trello's a cool spot to stop. I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell everybody about Trello and how I use that to do my game jam games also. By the end of this, like, you'll not just know how to do game jams, like, you'll know everything that I know. I'm not going to hold anything back. I can tell you everything that I know how to do it. I've been doing it for a long time. Like all the tricks here and there. I might not do everything right, so you share your tricks with me sometime too, and then we can all get better and whatnot. Alrighty, cool stuff. I am going to take a break though. I'm going to change the scenes. No, I'm not. I'm just going to get up and walk away. I mute the mic though. Cool stuff, everybody. You know, how long am I up for? Hold on, let me check. Might be a good spot for me to take a break and get some work done, because I do have work I have to do before I go in the office tomorrow. And if I want to stay up and do an all-nighter, I need to be responsible and do all my work right now, so that way it's all ready to go. Hydro break, right? I know. I might take an actual break, but I'm going to be on all night for sure. I'm amped up, and I slept pretty good. I woke up at 8. Whoa, my gosh, no! This guy's a terrible streamer. Don't ever watch him. All right. Shoot. Yeah, I've been going for 2. Yeah, so I've already streamed for like 7 hours a day. All right. Yeah, all right. I'm going to go. I'm going to kill it. But I'll be back. Give me like an hour or two. And I'll update. I'll be in Discord chatting though. So if you guys want to talk more about the game, I'll create a channel it'll be in the Tiger J Discord. And if you want access, join the Outsider Discord and ask me or get the Tiger J Discord from that. It's going to be kind of how you get that from now on. There'll be a room in there that people can get. There will be a room at the very bottom of the list that says the Tiger J Discord access, and it'll just have a note and a link and an invite. And that way people can come from the Outsider one and they can join into the Tiger J and they can come in that way. And that's one point of entry, so I don't have to hand invite people anymore. But that's where I'm going to put the link for this Game Jam game. And that's going to be where I do all my jam stuff. So anything that's game development related is going to be in that Discord. It's such a wide topic that one channel in the Outsider Discord won't work. And that's why it has to be its own Discord server. And that's why I didn't really want to get rid of my Tiger Jam, because I was looking at it, like, this thing, I kind of think it's perfect. I mean, I've had this community in there for a long time. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of history, and I don't want to ruin it all, and I want to take it. I also want to add anything in, so I'm just going to isolate it and leave it in its own little bubble, you know? And that's when I started the Outsider Discord separate. And that's why I did that. Because I knew I was going to put all those links public, and we're going to get bots, and it's going to be weird, and I was going to do weird shows, and we're going to get all sorts of people in there. So we're going to like filter that down, and we're going to extract all of those people and turn them into game developers, and then there'll be a link to the Tiger J Discord there, and then come join us over here, and then we'll start jamming all the time. It'll be fun. We're going to have parties. It's so much fun. And Josh is going to be streaming jams, and everyone's going to be jamming. It's going to be a great time. Thanks so much for watching all of this. I know it's not the stuff that you're used to seeing me do, with I do like games with Alec, and I know it's not the stuff that I used to do before that, where I would sit here and just like scratch my head and Google a ton of stuff and try to make like the best possible game to win the jam. But this time I'm not really trying to win the jam. I'm trying to create a really good video and experience for somebody who might be too intimidated to join us sometime, where game development might be what saves them. It might give them that opportunity or that hope or that happiness that pulls them out. It lets them get away from whatever they're dealing with. Because when I make games, everything around me melts away. And all I'm thinking about is like my game. And I'm living in that imaginary world and what I can do and what I can create. And I can close my eyes and think about all the stuff that I'm going to do inside this world. Even for this Game Jam game, I could talk about different types of buildings. I could talk about why there's a demand for the furniture. I can keep on going. I can just zoom into any point in time. And then I can talk about the first time they ever discovered the furniture and how they found the first piece of furniture and all this other stuff, right? You can just keep on going. You just keep using improv tools like yes and. And that's an improv strategy that comedians use. But you can use it in game development. You can use it in design. I used to do improv, right? I used to do theater. I used to do improv theater also. And so I think by practicing and exercising that creativity all the time, you can get better and better and better at it, to the point where you can just go on and on and on. I can tell you, you could just ask me any question in chat about this game, about these people, what they did, what their favorite color is, anything they like. I can tell you so much stuff about them, but I'm not telling it to you. I'm just improvising it. But when I do that, I create a narrative and a story, and that allows me to create more objects in my imaginary world inside Unity in that game engine. And every time I add more and more complexity into it, when I look through that window down in there, when I'm on the Switch, when I'm on my phone, right? When I have that window, that white box, that UI that we can put stickers on that you get on top of a game when you play it, when I look at that, it gets more and more interesting. The more those things have actions where stuff can happen to them and things can happen, they get funner to play with, right? That's why Minecraft keeps putting up updates all the time. They're adding in more objects. They're adding in more actions. They're adding in more content. They're adding in more stuff. And when you add in more things, then everybody wants to be a part of that. And they want to be a part of it. They want to play with it. And it gets exciting. And the people come back and they're like, oh, do you see what they did? I didn't know they added sheep, right? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what's going on. Like, that's why Fortnite updates like every 2 days and it's fresh and has so much stuff in it. It's because, and Fortnite's a great game. Fortnite's an excellent game. I don't stream Fortnite. Alec and I play Fortnite, though. We play duos. We don't stream it because we stream other kind of content. Because everybody streams Fortnite. We don't want to be everybody. We want to be different. Well, we wanted to. Now we kind of want to take the different to everyone else, though. We've kind of pivoted in 2020. And we've changed some of our policies. And we're probably going to have a Fortnite stream once a week or randomly every now and then. Him and I jump on and play duos and goof off with each other. Because we're pretty good at it, and we do finish first every now and then, third or first. We're always in the top 10. But we have a fun time, you know? And it's actually a good game. And the more I think about it, because it's free, it's actually a great game. Because I grew up, I didn't have a computer when I grew up. Even when computers were around, I didn't have one. I didn't have a computer until I was 16 years old, really. Like, between 14 and 16. Maybe when I was 14, I got one, right? So about 22 years ago. Was when I got my first computer. I had friends that grew up with them, you know, like right in their house. I wasn't that fortunate. But if somebody handed me a phone, I mean, the thing runs on anything, and I could play Fortnite anywhere, no matter how poor I was, no matter how much money, no matter what my economic situation was in life, as long as I could have some device that would run the game, which the thing is almost on everything, it seems like nowadays. What a great thing. What a great joy to like take somebody out of any bad situation they're in and give them an experience that's positive. And that's the power of games. Games are super powerful. They can save people that way. They really can. They can make huge differences in people's life. For me, it was Tetris. Tetris pulled me out. Tetris got me away from everything that was going on in my life because I just clear lines and it was addictive and it felt good and I'd play it all day long. I love Tetris for that reason. But Fortnite today is the modern day Tetris. Whether you like people like it or not, it's awesome. All right? And it's super cool. It's freaking free. That is great. It means everybody can experience it. And when we're done with our game, people are going to know a lot more about this furniture style. I have no idea. I've never even heard that word before. But because it's the Game Jam game we're doing, I'm going to learn all about it. And afterwards, when I'm done, because I'm learning about it and I'm basing my mechanics off of facts that people can experience and interact with, when they're done with playing, they're going to learn about it. right? If I base my mechanics off of just fun things that feel good, then they wouldn't learn anything. But my game's actually going to be an educational game, not on purpose, but on coincidence, because my mechanics relate to facts about that item or about the theme. And so if you use facts to relate your mechanics, you can then teach with your games, and that's how you make educational games. And that's how people learn through playing games. Alrighty, I'm going to go take a break and done all my game philosophy and game talk and all that stuff. That was such a nice thing to ask me to say you want to hear me do a GDC talk. Oh my gosh, it's going to make me cry on stream. Don't do that. Because it can happen. I'm super emotional about this stuff too. It's just because they really did impact my life in such a strong, phenomenal way. And this year, I just really want to try to get as many people that I can get to play games and make games to make them. It's going to be really, 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 really awesome. All right, cool. Take it easy and have a great time.